Hey guys, hey, it's awesome to see y'all. It's great. Yep. Wednesday night, I'm home from camp for a night. I'm gonna shout out the few folks that were out in the chat before we got started. Well, Spicy, he jumped in right away, and he had said, "Hey there, old man." Yeah, who's he calling old? Then Will the Rocker, of course. There he is. Yep, I'm doing wonderful, Will. And Will left a couple of comments, and then Rebecca jumped in, reminding me she wants her stickers. She's going to get her stickers. And then there's Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Missed your streams. Glad you're on tonight. Yeah, I only stream on Wednesday nights right now. Yeah. And there's Phil saying, share it out, guys. Yeah, he's right. Do it. Share it out. This is the only chance in the week we can hang out, where I can hang out with you guys. Liam, Mullen. Hello. Hey, guys, right away, I'm going to pull up my buddy out of the basement here.
Hey,
there he is. Happening? What's happening, old man?
What's happening, old man?
Right. Oh, I'm hoping that we get kind of a good group in here in a bit, because I want to ask some advice from my audience. Yeah. It's
usually ointment twice a day for 3 weeks, and I'll get rid of that.
That's not no. It's not medical advice. Not medical advice. No. It's in a sense, in a way, it's channel advice. Hey, Jason the Reaper, James, it's great to see you there, buddy.
Good to see you, James.
But yeah, there's a potential for some changes that I just kind of want the audience input on what they think I might be best off doing, Hey, Freeman James, good to see you. I saw you were hanging out at Samantha's stream the other night there through the whole thing. Yeah. What's that?
I think Freeman misses you.
Well, actually, we haven't seen each other. It's probably going on, I don't know, Freeman, probably 2 years.
Oh, wow.
We haven't actually seen each other. Last time I was down to him and my sister's place, and now with me hosting like this for the campgrounds, again, I can't travel anywhere, any extended travel, and boy, these buggers are just hounding me. They're just hounding me. How many years you willing to do this? I said, I don't know. It all depends on how many years I'm alive, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I had no idea the one that you took over hasn't had a host in it in all those years.
Yeah.
That's a big thing to take over something that, especially, if you were taking over for someone else, it's a different story. But, you have to reinstitute discipline.
Yes.
And everything else in the campground and keep the place and everything else. So, Matt, Jay.
Well, you're really on key there. I was going to chat about that a little bit tonight, about this last week, about the mentality that goes with a campground that hasn't had a host for eons. I mean, in fact, I finally asked my supervisor, I said, hey, Chris, I said, when is the last time this campground had a host? He said, well, I talked to my supervisor who's been here about 10 years longer than I have, and My soup's been there for 8, so that's 18 years back. He can never remember a host ever being in that campground.
Wow.
And I had some campers that said that their family's been using that campground for the last 30 years, and they can't recall a host ever being there. And
well, then who makes sure that they? Well, I guess the regular forest people make sure that they pay and if they have a receipt on the little clipboard or whatever, right?
No, I do that.
I mean, used to.
Oh, used to. Well,
Yeah.
see, and that was it. That's why they were losing so much money, is because they were having squatters. People figured it out. Oh, the ranger comes through on Monday morning at about 10 o'clock, empties the money container,
Yeah.
takes all of those cards out, and goes and checks the campsites to see do they have their receipts there, to match the cards in that. If there's somebody in the campsite, there's no they didn't pay, they'll go in and tell them, hey, you got to pay, man. Mondays, mid to late morning. Wednesdays, mid to late morning. Fridays, mid to late morning. It was the same routine all the time for 20 frickin' years. People would come in there on a Friday afternoon and they camp until Monday morning. They pack up Sunday night, and first thing Monday morning, they're down the road before that ranger comes and finds out they were in a campsite for 3 days and never paid for it.
Mm.
And that's what was going on. Well, now people can't get away with that crap. If you're staying, you're paying, and and people have been good about it, when you tell them, hey, the rules, and now there's somebody here that is making sure everybody follows them. I'm not making just you follow them. That guy down there, I made him follow it, and I made that guy follow it, and so people have been really good about it. I have to say, I've only had one. I had one individual. He came in last Thursday when I got back to camp from being here Wednesday night. He came in. I had no more gotten back into camp. And he's trying to back this big travel trailer in my smallest campsite. And I thought, that goofball, he's going to bang the hell out of his trailer. He's going to be hitting trees in there, boy. So I hiked up there. Hey, David Jones. And the guy finally got it kind of jimmied in there so that it would work for him. He gets out of his truck, and I said, hey, welcome to East Twin. I'm your camp host. I was just curious to see maybe you needed a spotter to get that trailer in this little campsite. That SOB walks right up in my face, and he goes, now, if you ain't the most worthless piece of shit son of a bitch in this whole fucking country. I go, you just said what? And he says, you're just another goddamn worthless freeloader off the taxpayer. Go around here telling everybody you got all this authority and you're the host and you're in charge, and we have to pay for your campsite. We have to pay your wages. We got to pay for the gas you use in that truck. And yeah, you're just milking the taxpayers. All you're doing for nothing. I said, you know what? Let's put it to the test. How many days are you here? He says, not as if it's in your goddamn business, but I'm here through the rest of the week and the weekend. And I said, good. If you're pulling out on Monday, that's when I'll start doing my duties again. I said, in the meantime, if somebody shits all over the toilet seat, you go ahead and sit in it, because I ain't cleaning it up. I ain't doing that. I'm not going to freeload off the taxpayer. I said, if a bear comes to your camp, starts tearing shit up, and you come running to me yelling, bear, 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 call the DNR or something, I'm going to tell you, oh, that's your fucking bear. Deal with it yourself. I told them everything that happens in this campground that you don't like is your own fucking fault because you don't want to host. You don't want somebody that's willing to clean your crap off of the crapper. You don't want somebody that's willing to pick up the garbage you won't pick up. You don't want somebody that's going to put you on to the best firewood within a half a mile of the campground. You don't want somebody that's going to be here for you. So you're sitting here calling me everything under the sun and telling me how I'm milking the taxpayer. I said, you poor dumb son of a bitch. I said, I don't get a paycheck. I don't get nothing but that campsite. He goes, yeah, and it's the nicest campsite in the campground. And I said, and the shittiest crappers in town that got to be cleaned by me. I said, I think it's a fair trade. I said, I'm willing to give up that campsite. You clean the shitters for free without a paycheck. And no, you don't get a Forest Service truck. No, the Forest Service isn't going to give you the equipment to clean the shitters and the soap and everything else that goes with it. You provide that shit. You're such a patriotic American, you poor, simple-minded son of a bitch. And I said, and by the way, if you don't like campgrounds with a host, I can give you a list of some that don't have hosts, and you can get the fuck out of here and go stay at one of them. All of a sudden, that son of a bitch, for 4 days in a row, he walked twice a day past my campsite, and he'd yell, "Hi, Sty, how's it going? Good to see ya. Everything's cool. Everything's cool at the campground. It's nice. Boy, it's quiet at 10 o'clock. Oh, yeah, it's cool." Nicest guy you ever met. After I jumped right down his, "You call me a freeloader, you stupid son of a bitch." And I thought, come on. I would have never imagined going into a campground and ripping on the person that cleans the shitters and mows the grass and does all the work without a paycheck.
It makes it tidy so when you come in, there's not shit all over the place.
Yeah. And he even on his last day, he says to me, he goes, "I didn't notice until the third day here," he said, "Boy, you really got the place mowed up nice." He says, "All the campsites actually look like my yard back home." He says, "They're all the grass, none of the grass is over 2.5 inches tall. It's all just the same everywhere. And the shoulders are mowed nice." And I told him, I said, "I don't mind doing it. That's why I'm here. I want something to keep myself busy and occupied, well, physically active. I need it. You die if you just sit. I almost killed myself this last winter from sitting on my ass all winter. But I couldn't believe that guy. He pulled in with a bucket full of attitude, but he pulled out thinking a little more positive when he left, at least. Yeah.
It's good you didn't have to go to fisticuffs.
Oh, I wouldn't have gone fisticuffs with him.
No, it isn't always you that starts stuff.
Well, if he would have started it, I don't have it with me. Shit, I should put that in a video so people see which hiking stick I take with me when I do my rounds. Yeah, you don't want to get poked in the forehead with it. Yeah, you'll be seeing stars before the sun goes down. Yeah. I've had a few guys eyeball that hiking stick and go, "Isn't that an awful big hiking stick?" I said, "Yeah, but I'm such a big guy, I need a big stick."
Well, it may need to serve another purpose.
Yeah, walk softly and carry a big stick, But otherwise, it has been I met so many people. I met new YouTubers.
Oh, yeah.
I had Nicholas Green up last week, the week before, and we had 2 other YouTubers come and visit. Well, Nick was there. That was awesome. Well, then right now, I've got 2 YouTubers that I never met before in camp. One guy does reviews of campgrounds all over, state and federal campgrounds and stuff. And I told him, I said, good, you do a good one on mine. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll never camp here again, you little.
I had a feeling of following it up with something.
I got enough bacon to bring my favorite bear into your campsite. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
but it's been really interesting meeting a lot of these folks, knowing that, you know, I'll probably never see 90% of them ever again. You know, it's a one-time deal. There, it's first and only time they'll ever camp there. But you get to know them, you get to chat a bit, find out where they're from and what's going on. And this last week was so freaking interesting. What day was it? That was Thursday night, in fact. I was hoping that it would blow that asshole out of campsite 1. We had a storm come in that, now I am so pissed at the weathermen. I mean, they put out this freaking storm alert. I mean, severe thunderstorm warning, and then it's alert. Expected 60-mile-an-hour flat line winds.
Wow.
Hail exceeding $half size. And they said expect heavy vehicle damage and roof damage due to the hail. And I pulled the radar up on my phone and I looked and I go, oh, that ain't freaking good. You can see it. It's 15 minutes away from my campground, man. And it's coming. I'm going to be in the lower third of this big storm coming through. I jumped in the Forest Service truck and I'm running through my campground, yelling out the window. There's a severe storm coming, guys. Heavy winds, heavy hail. If you're in a tent, I suggest taking shelter in the outhouses. And got through the whole campground, warned everybody. Looked at the radar again. Well, I'm in the bottom third of that storm, the biggest part of the storm. It's going to hit my other campground dead on. It's going to hit it dead on. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm driving up to that shit. I ain't driving 13 miles into the backcountry to that little campground to tell them people, get under cover. No, bullshit. I have a tree fall on my truck while I'm going up there. So I called my supervisor. I said, we're in for a world of hurt, but Beaver Lake campground, they're not getting checked till the storm's gone. Once the storm's over, I'll go up there and I'll take a chainsaw cut my way in if I have to. That freaking storm hit. Now I know how Noah felt, man. I was just like, shit, I'm going to have to seal the door in this trailer, the big door and the little door, because this thing's going to turn into an ark. I have not seen that hard of rain in years. Wow. It just poured. And then the hail came, and thank God the hail was it was less than half an inch, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it made a hell of a lot of noise, but didn't damage anything. And I thought, well, I lucked out in my campground, knocked a shitload of leaves out of the trees, but otherwise everything was okay. And I thought, but it hit Beaver Lake dead on. And hey, Mike. Hey, buddy. Sent you the link. But I got up to Beaver Lake. They didn't even have leaves knocked out of their trees. And the 3 campers I had up there said, oh, yeah, I came through and it just downpoured. And the one guy said, I got to go out in the boat now that it's calmed down and get 2 of my coolers that washed down the hill and went out in the lake. He says there was that much water that my coolers floated off and went down in the lake. And he says, otherwise, no. The winds at my campground and at Beaver Lake, I don't think they exceeded 25, 30 miles an hour. And it was just so damn much rain. But boy, it sure had everybody on pins and needles. Here comes the big one, you know. I was kind of excited. I thought, "Ooh, this could get cool," you know. Let's go see how many campers were sitting in their tent, had their tent blow away, and there they sat in the middle of the rain, you know. That, you know, yeah, how many camper trailers flopped over on their sides, you know. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Tuna, good to see ya. Yeah, I thought it was going to get interesting. Yeah, this new background, that's my lake. This is what I look at every evening. It is what you see behind me. That's what I see every evening. If I'm sitting down by the water's edge. Otherwise, I would be up the hill at my fire pit. Same view, just a little wider. Because it's a little further away. About 60 feet farther inland. But that's something I did yesterday. I tried to take yesterday off, just not do nothing, you know. That hell with the campground. And Monday I didn't have a single camper.
Oh.
And I thought this is going to be a quiet night. Well, then two came in. One was a pair of guys that are doing a bicycling tour, and neat young guys. Yeah, they were funnier than hell. And then this guy, he's the same age as he's only like 2 weeks difference in age from me, and he's single retired guy, and he's just driving around the country. He's got a Tacoma pickup, and he's got a pop out tent kind of deal that comes out of his over his topper and out the back of his truck, and got to chatting with him, and yeah, he was quite the character. Lots of stories, and so those two were interesting Monday night. So, and then I had worked my ass off Monday, so I figured Tuesday I ain't doing nothing. So what did I do? Something for myself. I went down to my lakeside, this lake you see behind me. I went down to the lakeside and I looked way off. Well, it'd be over there. In the reeds, I could see what looked like a dock section that's kind of offshore and just kind of kittywampus in the weeds. And oh, yeah, kicked off the old sandals, went wading. And I walked all the way through all them weeds, and I got there. And it wasn't a dock. It was a big old solid core wooden door that must have blown off somebody's cabin across the lake and drifted into shore over here. Boy, was that sucker heavy. But I drug that sucker out and it floated. So I managed to push it all the way back to my landing area, which is all mucky. It's all mucky. You got to get out about almost, I'd say at least 6 feet from shore. And then you hit sand, nice solid bottom and sand. Well, that big ass door was perfect. I laid a big birch log on the edge of the muck about 5 feet from the shoreline, flopped that door down it. Now I got this awesome 7-foot dock, and my kayak, I can pull it right up to the end of it, get my kayak and paddle off, get back, get right up on that dock. So that's what I did yesterday. I built myself a damn dock. And it's a shame because the Forest Service and North Country Trail built this awesome bridge across this creek up by my other campground. Well, they're done with the bridge and they got leftover materials. They got parts of the old bridge and they had some new lumber there. So I got a hold of the Forest Service and said, hey, somebody's going to steal that. It's sitting right there on the side of the road by my campground. Someone's going to pull up with a pickup and go, oh, well, gosh, and there ain't nobody around. Guess that's going home with me. I said, it's all 2x6s and 4x4s. And they said, we'll send somebody out there to get all of the valuable lumber. Well, they did, and I was out there when they came. He loaded everything up, and I said, so that's it, huh? That's the only stuff that's worth anything to us. Everything else, if somebody wants to steal it, let them. He left, and I looked around. I got a beautiful treated. It's oil treated. It's a 2x12, 10-footer. You know what that bugger would have cost to buy one of them? And it's a new one. It's not used lumber. This was a new piece they didn't need building the bridge. So I'm going down the road with 4 feet of that sticking out of the box of my Forest Service truck. And I'm thinking nobody will ask because I'm the Forest Service, you know. He must be building something for the Forest Service. He must be building a bench or something somewhere. Damn right, I was going to use that for my dock. So now I got that in the campsite, and I'm looking at it thinking, geez, I could extend my dock to about 12, 14 feet with that board, you know, added on to the one I did. Yeah. So yeah, yesterday was kind of a fun day of just doing all kinds of weird shit. Yeah.
Well, it's fun when you can build and do stuff like that, and you don't have to. You just
yeah.
It's not something you got to do. It's something
right.
you want to do.
Right.
That's like even getting stuff done around the house here. You know, if I don't have a honey-do list one day, but yet there's just things I just kind of want to do, and it's not going to take a lot of effort, but it gets something else done around here, then, you know, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, yesterday was one of those days where every time I'd sit down and I'd take a sip of coffee, I'd see something and I'd go, well, that's only going to take 5 minutes. I get up and go do it. Then I'd sit down for a while again. Then I'd look around and I'd go, oh, that's 5 minutes. I'll go do it. And I did all of that little tiny crap, you know. Samantha Lee, sweetie.
No,
it is so good to see you. I watched your whole last stream. You look pretty good in them leggings, you know. I think I prefer the white ones too. And you shouldn't let Phil corrupt you like that. You know, he's terrible. He's terrible.
I'm just a nice guy, that's all.
Well, I thought you were a pretty nice guy to get her to model that for us, you know.
What's up, McTubis? You know what? She mentioned it. I mentioned that she should wear them. She mentioned that she shouldn't. People in the chat wanted to see it. I asked them; they wanted to see it. She did it. You know, hey. So
well, hey, it's all history. But you make it sound like you suggested that she do it, and that you only suggested a couple of times. I bet you if I go back and watch it, there's at least 40 times you said, you need to put those on. You need to wear those. You need to show us those on you. You know, it wasn't a suggestion. It was almost, you know what I told him, Sam? I told him that he sounded just like a teenage boy, you know, all excited. I'm going to talk you into this. I'm going to talk you into it. You just watch. I'm not going to leave you alone till you do it, you know. And Samantha, being such the good character she is, she gave in and said, fine, Phil, I'll model it for you.
She wasn't modeling it for me. It was for the people in the chat. It was about it was about the people in the chat.
She modeled it to shut you up.
I've had that.
Possible, before. Isn't it? Possible.
I've had that
possible.
I didn't tell her to go.
Yeah, Phil. Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yes, you had her turn around, and then you had her move farther away from the camera, and then you said, "Now jump up and down."
I might have been drinking.
Oh, I had a gut feeling that you might have had a couple. Yeah. Yeah, Matt, I saw that too. I heard it. Yeah. So, but I felt so cheated, man. I would have loved to have been in that stream with you guys. You guys were having fun. That's the hardest part for me is my evenings at camp. From about 7:30 to 10:30. I feel like I'm sitting around and thumb up my ass. You
You
know,
need a
like
smartphone. Oh man.
I have a I cannot swing buying a new phone, and I was going to get a straight talk hotspot because sure as shit last week there was a guy there, and I mentioned to him that I was thinking of getting a straight talk hotspot because then I could use my laptop, and he says, I got that. I go, you got to be kidding. He goes, no, no. He says, look on the roof of my truck there. And there's his hotspot sitting on the roof of his truck. And he pulls his phone up and he says, yeah. He says, I got full internet access with that hotspot there.
Wow.
He says, and it's from Straight Talk. He says, you don't get a ton of data, but he said, you get enough that, and I told him what I would use it for. And he says, you probably get 2 to 4 streams if you keep them between an hour and a half, 2 hours apiece. He says, you probably be able to do 2 or 4 a month, you know, with the data available. But then I looked at the price, you know, I got to buy the hotspot from them. Then I got to buy the hotspot service. That's $50 a month additional. And I got for Starlink, I'm already committed. I've taken most of my reserves and committed it to Starlink, you know. That damn Starlink, if I got that, I'd be in heaven, man. I'd be in heaven.
They get their act together. So
yeah. I wonder if they're having the same computer chip problem.
Jesus.
We can't build your systems because we don't have the chips.
Well, either they're getting all of the chips or they're having the same problem that we're having.
Right. It's one or the other.
I mean, because who's the guy that controls that? Is that Bezos that has Starlink, or is that
No, that's Musk.
Elon Musk, right.
Yep. And I thought, now wait a minute, Musk has kind of pushed forward trying to get his satellite array up. He wants to get as many up as possible, or as fast as possible.
You know, there's computer chips in those damn things.
And right away, I thought, this some bitch putting all of his investment into the computer, all the money into the satellites themselves, not into us individuals with our systems. You know.
Well, there was a news article, either beginning of the week or over the weekend. It's a funny fact. Do you know how many chips are in a average vehicle?
No. Well, it all depends. If Walmart's got them on sale, I can get probably about 180 bags in the back of my truck.
There are 1,400 computer chips in the average vehicle.
Isn't that fucking ridiculous?
Now, these aren't microprocessors or anything crazy like that. These are just
well, no, they're ICs. They're integrated circuits. They're chips. They're chips.
1,400.
Now 1,400 in the damn car or truck you're driving down the road. Now get this. Did you know this? You know what the Saturn V rocket program was? The ones that went to the moon.
Okay.
Big old Saturn V rocket, and they went to the moon. They had the lunar landers. Did you know that the Saturn V rocket, the control capsule, operated on a computer that was no more powerful than a Texas Instruments scientific calculator? Them suckers flew to the moon on a frickin' calculator. My ass! I always wanted to be an astronaut until I found that shit out. Right. You know how many times I cheated with a calculator and still got the answer wrong? I'd be landing my ass someplace out on fucking Pluto or some shit right now going, I guess that calculator was wrong.
Yep.
You know, nope, they flew that. And then they said that when they started the you know, when they went to the plane ones, you know.
You know the thing?
Yeah.
Like Biden,
you know the thing. You know the thing. Come on, man.
Come on.
I mean, come on, man. The but yeah, they said the Columbia only that the computing power of that ship was only 4 times that of the original Saturn rocket. Well, that's less than my laptop. I mean, and that's what they were flying in space with. That, you know, I can't.
Well,
Yeah,
Columbia didn't have blind zone alert, didn't have rear cross traffic alert, forward collision alert,
that's yeah. I heard that I heard that teacher called home just before the thing blew up and said, "Hey, don't worry about feeding the fish because I'll do it on the way back."
Oh no!
Oh,
Yeah,
ain't that
I was in
ain't
high
that
school.
terrible?
I was in high school when that happened.
Oh, you baby, you.
I was in high school when that happened. I don't think I was a senior. I want to think I was a junior when that happened. But yeah, I remember that the first joke to come out, NASA need another 7 astronauts.
That's right.
Yeah.
They've got 7 openings.
Yeah.
That's that. I watched it. I was watching it live when it blew, and
we were too.
And I watching it.
Was in there.
I'm watching it blow up, and I'm going, why are people acting surprised? I mean, people made that damn thing. Something's going to go wrong sooner or later. I guarantee it. Something someday will go wrong. And today was the day, and everybody's acting like, how is that possible? What the hell are you talking about? How is that possible? Some moron cut a corner somewhere and blew those 7 people to kingdom come,
Well, all rockets are controlled explosions anyways, right?
Exactly. Well,
all that stuff.
I liked what this one old boy said. We were sitting in a restaurant and we were watching this launch, and he goes, all the fuel they used to shoot that son of a bitch up there and go around the planet a couple times and then land it back here. He said, me and my whole damn family, we could travel all over the country all of our lives and never, ever worry about gas in the car if they quit doing that shit. He says, do you realize how much? He says, they're burning up a whole week's worth of fuel in the country just to fly up there and go around the planet a couple times. He says, that's crazy. He says, he says, no, put that fuel into something that's going to fix our roads or something. He's okay. I was getting blown when it blew.
That's what I was laughing at earlier. It's like, really, Mike? Really? I don't
really. He was getting his stem wet while these people are getting blown the kingdom.
All right, so I was in high school. Mike is 2 years, 3 years older than I am. Were you still in high school, Mike, or were you just out of high school when that happened? I mean, I know it'll take like a minute for this to come across.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he had made it through the 8th grade by then.
Oh, well, that's junior high here in Michigan. So
yeah. But, it took Mike a little longer, but as long as he accomplished it, we're good. We're good. Yeah. That's you're the one that put up that post with the kid that finally graduated the 5th grade on Facebook.
Oh, my son.
That was hilarious, man. That was hilarious.
You're 57. I know you're all right. So you're 4 years older than me. So yeah, you were plenty out of high school when that happened, because I was in high school when that happened. No, one of my memories came across my phone of my son 7 years ago. My youngest, who just graduated high school, and of course he's got this beard now and everything else. I was like, oh, this would be perfect opportunity to take the head off of this and put it on this to make my 5th grader look like he does.
Yeah.
Well, I posted it on Facebook. So if any of you haven't seen my Facebook post today, I did it just before we came up here. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought, that's a good one. Hey, bet he didn't see that shit coming.
Yeah, I didn't work hard on it, so it's not, I had to work through the thumbnail and
Good
do where
enough.
I had to do it. But yeah, you got the point. If you know me or you know my kid, you got a giggle out of it. So
I am. Oh man, you mentioned thumbnail. That's an issue too. Is I got 3 videos going up this week, this coming week. I got one going up Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday. I could have had one every day between now and next Wednesday. I've got so much raw material that I could make videos with, but editing is become a freaking nightmare out there at camp without the internet. I can't use Filmora without the internet. I can't use Canva without the internet because they are not standalone softwares. So my kid puts me on to Gimp. He goes, there's other software out there, Gimp. I go, you fucking call me Gimp again next time you get into town. I'm gonna knock you on your ass. Call me a Gimp. He goes, no. That's the software I'm talking about. So he puts me on to Gimp. I'm struggling with that freaking Gimp. I can't use that shit. It's free software and it doesn't require the internet. It does to download it. But it looks like it's good. You can do a lot with pictures and videos and stuff. There's a lot you can do with it. A ton of stuff. I'm having a hell of a time trying to figure out how to plug in text over thumbnails and shit. That would. So next week I'll be tearing my hair out at night on my laptop trying to figure out. This old Gimp is going to try to figure out how to use Gimp. Running water. What's he saying? Even our Estes rocket was cursed after applying the Challenger decal. Yeah.
I remember those little rockets and stuff, man.
Oh shit! I was insane about them. I went way overboard. Running water when he's just a little guy. My kids were just little guys. I was way into them. I had way too damn many of them. In fact, I still have some in storage.
That's the great part about having young boys. You can still be a kid yourself and play with that kind of crap.
Yeah. But I would custom make rockets, and I'd take the largest Estes motor and the actual motor casing. My whole rocket was only the diameter of the motor casing, and I had some. You'd launch them sons of bitches, and you'd have to wait 15 to 20 minutes before there it is. Here it comes. Here it's coming back.
Mike's Outdoors.
Hey, Mike's Outdoors and Adventures. It's great to see you, buddy. Yeah, it's been a whole week. So anyway, I'm trying to learn Gimp. Mictobus says Gimp is great. Been using it for 20 years. Still have to look up how to do everything. There's a ton of shit to do with it, but all I want to figure out is how do I get text on top of my images? I think I need a tutor. As long as she's good looking and she can cook, I'll gladly be tutored on how to be a Gimp. A Gimper. You bet. But so editing's been a nightmare. I can get things edited in to a degree, ready to go in Movie Maker, Windows Movie Maker. So my videos are half-assed compared to what they used to be, but I've been having so much trouble with Filmora because I got to be on the internet to use it. And so anyway, I'm struggling through it. You'll still get videos from me. I'll still be putting them up. They're just not the best quality they're not the quality I want them to be. They're not edited as well on the click on the big A in the toolbox to add text. Thank you. There's a good tutor right there.
Sometimes it's so simple, and it's like, what? I didn't think of that.
That's it.
I was wondering what that was.
I saw that big A, and I thought that it was saying, "Yeah, you ass, you don't know what you're doing."
I still discover stuff in like iMovie and my thumbnail maker, and every now and then I'll come across something like, oh wow, I could have done that the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't know that you can actually edit video in Canva. I mean, you can use Canva as a video editor, and you can actually upload video, and you can overlay things in your video, text and icons and all kinds of shit right in Canva. I didn't know you could do all that. Now I do, but now I can't do it because I don't have the internet out there. But hey, we got 18 folks hanging out here. Here's my question.
Right.
I need a little bit of advice, guys. Now, I met 2 new YouTubers out at camp that have channel stickers. They gave me their channel stickers. So they got added to all these stickers you guys have all sent me. Phil and Ann, I almost need a vehicle for each of them just for all the stickers they sent me. But here's my dilemma. Okay, I was going to put them on the front panel, one of the front panels, because it's a V front trailer I've got. I was going to put them on the one side by the spare tire above it. You know, I was going to cover that whole panel with all those stickers. Then I decided, no, I don't know, because they take so much direct weather going down the road. You know, the rain is 6 times harder on them because you're pulling at 60 miles an hour down the road. Hail, ice, snow, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, no, I'm going to put them on my door, around the window, and underneath the window. And I had it all figured out. I had them suckers all laid out on the picnic table, had it all planned where I'm going to stick them on the door. Then I had this damn camper suggest to me, you know what? You should upgrade that trailer of yours to a standard camper if you're going to be hosting for 4.5 to 5 months a year in a campground. And I hate to say it, but Crazy Ann's been telling me for 2 years, get rid of that trailer and get a real camper. What's the matter with you, you old fart? You know, yeah. I told him, I said, well, at the price right now for any RV trailer, it's prohibitive. They put me onto something, and I checked as soon as I got home here this morning. They're right. They're right. If you're going to buy a used camper, buy a truly used one that's 20 years plus old. If it's in good condition, you know, as long as everything's good in it, it doesn't have leaks, it's you know, everything's working in it. Or if it isn't, it's something simple and inexpensive to replace or repair. Because anything 20 years old or newer is going for about 30% over market value right now. Everybody wants a freaking camper. New campers, they're having the same problem, Phil. It's not just GM. You can't buy new campers because so many of them operate on the electronics, and they can't get the chips that operate all these levelers and this and that and blah, blah, blah. This guy had just upgraded and bought himself a new trailer. And he says, I got an awesome, you'd love it. He says, I got a 32-foot dual axle, electric brakes. He says, doesn't leak. He says, had the roof resealed. He says, just 2 years ago, it's all new sealed roof. He says, you won't find any water damage in it anywhere. He says, and everything works. The only thing you have to replace is the black water, which is the shit tank, the black water hose, because he said, I was too far away from the dump station and some asshole ran over it with a little Jeep Wrangler and just smashed the shit out of my shit hose. He says, I just disconnected and drove away and left it laying there. He said it was nasty. But so he says, you got to replace that hose. He says, that'll cost you about $80. And I said, yeah, what are you telling me? He says, you need one like that. He says, I'm not in a hurry to sell mine or anything. He says, but if you'd be interested, he says it's 32 feet long. He says, you'd love it. He says, it's 3 times bigger than that trailer you're in. He says, and it's got all the amenities. He said, hell, I'll let you have it for $3,600. I said, well, how old is it? He says, 1996. He says, but you wouldn't know it. He says, awning's in awesome shape. The awning was replaced about 5 years ago, all brand new. He says it's in awesome shape. He says the rubber was replaced, all 4 tires and the spare were replaced 2 years ago. I said, sounds to me like you're getting screwed at 3,600. He says, no, I bought it brand new in 1996. He says, I've gotten my money's worth out of it. He says, and it's never had more than 1,000 miles on it in any given year. So
you get those old ones like that. Let's say in 3, 4, 5 years you don't want it anymore. They really don't depreciate anymore.
No, that's what he said. He says if you use it for 4 or 5 years and then you croak and your kid gets it, he'll sell it for what you bought it for.
Right. Well, we were looking at brand new ones, and we were looking at ones that are 2 or 3 years old, and then we saw a couple of really good used ones back in the day of people that had, that were campers. That was
right.
When you peered through the window, they really had a bed in there. They really had like a lazy boy in there and stuff.
Yeah.
And we really were strongly considered. Glad we didn't now, but we really strongly considered like a 15-year-old camper, and it was inexpensive. Yeah, I'm glad. That's why we got the Silverado 3+ years ago, thinking that we were going to start doing that. And then, of course, our friends turned around after having their camper for 2 years and sold their camper. So it was a good thing we didn't get ours. So
yeah, Mike. That
Granny.
They're saying that anything used is running about 30% over market value right now, and they're getting it. They're selling them like hotcakes. The dealerships are actually looking for used equipment, and they're buying it outright. They don't care if you want to buy another one or not. They just want the one you got because they've got buyers for them. So you got to find a person that's not kind of keeping track of the market kind of thing, just has a camper don't want to use it. And it's like this guy said, he says, it's surprising how many people out there buy one. And after 4 or 5 years, they realize, God, we paid a lot of money for this thing and we only use it once a year for a week. What in the hell do we own this thing for? If we're only going to use it for a week, you can go rent one, for God's sakes. Right down in Hayward, Wisconsin, you go down there, rent a travel trailer or RV, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than owning. Hey, Patreon Pirate, 32-foot camper.
You should get her done. Granny's here. Granny's here.
I see that. Get her done, Granny.
I'm just telling you.
They're showing up, but they're not showing up in the basement.
Really? I know.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you lock the door to the basement?
They see the 2 handsome guys up on the panel and think you can't get much better than those 2 guys up there on panel. So they're just intimidated.
The ladies shouldn't be. Because there's no way in hell the 2 of us together don't even. Yeah, no, we don't hold a candle to any of the ladies. I'm going to kick your ass, she said.
Granny, no one knows what I did. See, it's just you and me and no one else really knows.
Yeah. But if she says she's going to kick your ass, it's for good reason.
Oh, she gets to see me in about 14 days.
I heard that. You're going to make a YouTube tour, man. I am jealous. That's cool.
Yep. We will see each other July 1st. I forget what the time was when we think we'll be in that part. I want to say it's right around 1:30, 2 o'clock. We should be in her neck of the woods. And we're going to go have, a late lunch and meet Granny and whatnot, probably for about an hour or so. Probably sit there and chat and probably laugh our asses off. Probably be obnoxious as hell in the restaurant.
Why not?
Yeah, and then we're gonna keep on tooling down the road. But
There you go. Sounds like fun, man. I had Adventures in the Heartland spend almost a week with me at camp, and then I had right after them, Nicholas Green showed up, and him and his buddy Travis spent they spent four. I think they spent 4 nights. They left on the 5th day. Then they went down your way, and then they didn't get home until 2:00 in the morning. But it's neat when you actually get to see each other in person.
Right.
It is. It's just so neat. Yeah.
I wish I could have spent more time with Nicholas. It's not his fault. I realized what he was doing and everything else.
Right.
And that's why even when they got here and said, "Well, we can't be here long," I was trying to make sure that they didn't stay longer than they really wanted to, trying to appease me or whatever. So I was just trying to be like, we went live for 13 minutes, and even that I cut short because I didn't.
Oh, you did. You did. I didn't know that you guys
went live for like 13. Oh, well, it was kind of. I went live like Nicholas wasn't here, and then Nicholas crawled across the floor behind me. He kind of peeked up over my shoulder.
Is that on your channel?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll watch it tonight after the stream.
It's not very, again, it's not very long. It's a live
stream. Right. But I got to see it because him and I did one at camp on his phone.
Oh, okay.
And he had his buddy Travis. His buddy Travis was holding the phone and reading the chat to us, and it was pretty interesting. It went for 50 minutes, and I was surprised his phone was able to do it. But it was just a spur of the moment kind of thing.
What's up, Blake?
Yeah. Hey, Blake, good to see you. Oh, what? I never got no answers. Okay, on this camper. If while I'm making up my mind, and if I decide, I'll retire the adventure trailer and get a regular camper trailer, should I hold back on all those stickers? Because to me, it doesn't make sense for me to put all your wonderful stickers on a trailer that I would probably be selling.
Sty, I can send you more stickers
in 8 months. There's a lot of those. I've got followers that they're really hurting to be able to provide stickers.
Well,
so with you and Crazy Ann, I've got so many duplicates of some of yours that I figure I could plaster some of yours and Crazy Ann's on there because I got enough extras, right? And then whoever buys it, guess what? They get everything Spicy and Crazy Ann.
Who's this dude in the mankini?
Yeah, no shit.
I actually sent some stickers out today. Mac J got some, came his way because he was a new subscriber, and then Norda, the guy from Brazil, I forget what his name is, but I sent him his today too. So,
oh, neat. The so I guess, guys, you're hoping your stickers end up on the adventure trailer. I don't believe I'm going to put them on there until I've made a firm decision if I'm keeping it or if I'm going to go with a conventional camper. And here's another reason why I'm considering a conventional camper. I was approached, and oh, no, not that way. I was approached about hosting a campground for the winter. And here's the scoop. I finished this campground out the middle to the end of September. The campground they want me to host, I'll get my choice of 5 different campgrounds. I can pick which one I want. One's in Tucson, Arizona. No, actually 2 are in Tucson area, in the area of Tucson. 2 of them are near Austin, Texas, and one's outside of Brownsville, Texas. And they want me to host from November 1st until April 1st. Well, then I start hosting again for the Forest Service up here on May 1st. Well, it's for the Corps of Engineers. And I asked, how big is the campground that I would have? You know, give me an idea how big of a campground I would be hosting. And they said anywhere from 60 to 80 sites. And I said, 60 to 80 sites? Oh my God. And I said, I can't imagine how many vault toilets I gotta clean, how many sites I have to maintain, and
You did get paid then.
and maintain the fire pits and barbecue, because they got barbecues, a lot of them, you know, those sites, and do all the reservations and stuff. I said, man, that's going to be 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week, no matter what. They said, no, you don't do any of that. I go, what do you mean you don't do any of that? That's what I do now. They said, no, you don't do any of that. No. Your only job is you ride around the campground in a golf cart, and you got all these pamphlets and stuff, and you just answer people's questions and give them pamphlets to where the local golf courses are, or where the beach is, stuff like that. You just answer questions. That's all you do. And you're only required to do that for an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, 5 days a week. I said, all fucking winter? They said, yeah. And I said, so what do I get out of it? They said, oh, you get a site, you get your site. And they said, your site's a full service site. It's got water, electric, and sewer hookup. I said, so what's that cost me? And they said, oh no, you get that site. You get a site with all the hookups and everything. But you got to, 5 days a week, you got to ride your golf cart around the campground. And I thought, why the fuck can't we have one of those up here in northern Wisconsin? I want one of those campgrounds. The Corps of Engineers is totally different. Oh, no, you don't do nothing. We don't know. The guys that we pay, they do that shit. You don't do nothing. Volunteers, you just ride around in a golf cart. That's it. So I got to thinking, shit, if I got a conventional camper, I could winter down south and then head back home in the spring and head back down just before Thanksgiving, you know. And I could meet a lot of YouTubers between here and down there, you know. So that's also a consideration. We'll see.
But did you say winter?
That through the winter.
Doing that through the winter.
Yeah, from November 1st till April 1st. But it's in like Brownsville, Texas, or Austin.
Oh, in Texas. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear where you were doing that. Okay. Tucson,
Arizona. There's two campgrounds there. But I looked a little history on their the Corps of Engineers campgrounds near Tucson, and one of them had better be below 3,000 feet, because some of their campgrounds are at above 3,000 feet, and the high deserts in Tucson, it gets colder than shit. I mean, at night, especially at night. I mean,
29 Palms, it'd be hot as hell during the daytime, and you freeze your ass off at night.
Yeah. So
you could in 29 Palms. I mean, some people can see it in their homes, but 29 Palms, you're so far away from everything out there in the middle of the desert. You would look up at the sky at night, and it was just a cloud. It wasn't a cloud; it was a cloud of stars. It was so crystal clear.
You could see the Milky Way.
Oh, the Milky Way, easy. I'm actually
stood right out
almost, but it was like, I mean, you could look up there, you could see everything, and it's so peaceful. I mean, it's, and then of course, but again, that lets all the heat out. So so the only thing that's got any heat is the sand, and the sand gets pretty cold by the time morning time comes. So yeah, it would get down in the, I want to say when we were there, it'd be in the upper 90s during the daytime. It would probably get down, and this was probably cold, probably in the 50s. And 50s after being that hot was cold.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing is I won't be in that temperate region long enough to lose my acclimation to cold. So to me, if it's 50 at night, right now when it hits 50, man, I'm sleeping in a pair of shorts on top of my bunk, no covers, just oh, that feels good.
But
So
it's not 50 inside your trailer.
yes,
Oh, 50 inside your trailer, you're like that? I wouldn't be like that.
you wouldn't.
50 degrees inside my trailer? Hell no. It's cold.
Hell, you're still not used to northern weather, are you? I can't believe my first 3 weeks in camp this year. We never had a night over 40 degrees. And our coldest night was 23 degrees. Colder than shit. It was really cold. Yeah. 2 sleeping bags. And
well, I've told this story before. We came back from a cruise back in February. 5, 6, 7 years ago. And in February, we were outside in shorts, 70 plus degrees and everything else. And we decided, you know what? In May, we were going to go to this campground for mine and my wife's birthday with our friends. Not campground, their property in northern part of Michigan, not the UP, but more northern part of Michigan. Right. And we got up there, and it was the coldest it had been in probably a month around there. And me and my wife are huddled up next to each other. We're like both in there shivering all night long. And finally, because she wanted to do the whole air mattress with the sheets on the air mattress and just cover ourselves with the sleeping bags. Oh, that's not the same thing.
No.
Those air mattresses let all that cold air underneath you and everything else. So we finally, after about an hour or so of shaking next to each other, decided, all right, we got to take this all apart, get into our own sleeping bags on top of the air mattress in order to warm up. But man, it was so cold for the 2 nights that we were there. It was ridiculous.
See,
but again, we weren't outdoors camping. It was couples camping. I mean, if I was out there trying to rough it and doing all that, like a bushcrafter or outdoorsman, different story. Like even when I was in the military,
and you'd be dressed differently. You'd have different gear, everything. Yeah. See, and that's it is. If I complain about the cold to somebody that's known me for years, they go, "Oh, quit your freaking whining." You've been out winter camping when it's 25 below without the wind chill, and you snoring all damn night. And so don't whine about the cold. Well, it doesn't mean I like it. I can do it, but it doesn't mean and anymore. Yeah, getting up in the morning's a bitch. I mean, it's. An old guy like me, you just don't want to get out of that bedroll. Oh.
Well, when I was in Korea back in the late 80s, in the wintertime, it got damn cold. And, you take that mommy sleeping bag, you go zoop, and you take the drawstrings, and you didn't even worry about getting any air. You wouldn't put your face outside of that thing. You'd zip that thing right up, and you'd curl up like in the fetal position so you're all nice and warm from your body heat. And then that first time, about 2-3 hours after sleeping, you go to roll over and you put your feet down in the bottom of that sleeping bag. You're like, oh,
just like sticking them in the freezer.
Yeah. Then you start moving your feet around and everything to get the bottom part of that sleeping bag all warm, and you kind of roll over. And you're like, oh yeah, yeah.
That's yep. The
what's up, Cheesehead?
Cheesehead. When do you ever stop whining?
Oh God, Chris.
The minute you leave the room, you
just
show up.
Here.
Gives me a reason to whine. Yeah, my favorite wine with cheese is Chris.
A Chris cheese.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like a good bottle of Chris and some cheese. Yeah,
he's definitely a whiner.
He's my favorite wine. The yeah. Oh lordy. The
now I'm looking at my refrigerator and all these different beers I drink like 2 or 3, so then I have like singles of things left over. Got some sweet baby Jesus. I got one of those. I got one Dos Equis. I've got one Dirty Blonde. I've got one Out of Order. And then I got one Michelob Ultra. So I don't have two of anything down here.
That sucks, man. That means you got to make decisions, you know.
Right?
That's
I think since I already started dark, I'll have to stick with Sweet Baby Jesus. So
yeah. Yeah. I don't know how comfortable I'd be about drinking a beer named after him. I don't know. Yeah, I'd be okay with it as long as I didn't get into any kind of alcohol related trouble.
yeah. Chocolate peanut butter porter.
Chocolate peanut butter. Wow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of your stouts now have some chocolate to them. Very little in most cases. This one's a heavier chocolate taste to it than most that I've had. So,
oh, Blake, you found some more arrowheads, eh? Awesome. One of the guys from the Forest Service, I was talking with him, and he knows the location of an old abandoned logging camp that from the 1900 to 1920 era, and it's been long gone since the late 20s. And he said he doesn't know anybody else knows where the hell it is. And he says, I can show you the foundations of where the mill was, where their bunkhouses were, blah, blah, blah. And he said the nice thing about it is it's off Forest Service, and he's got permission from the landholder to go out there and explore. He says, you want to take the metal detectors out there and check it out? So I told him, yeah, let's go. And so we're going to try to get that in this summer. Go search that out. He said that he's done a couple old logging camps, and he said, if you can figure out where these guys got paid, he said you'd scan the hell out of it. He says, yeah, often you'll find a few silver dollars because these guys usually got paid in silver dollars. And he said they'd drop them and not realize it till they're already drunk. And I think I'm $1 short, you know. Yeah. Well, it's laying between here and the pay station, you know. Yeah. I couldn't believe that with Samantha. She's going, oh, it's so hot. It's so hot. It's in the 70s.
70s, right?
And all these people from down south saying, it was 91 here. It was 94 the other day. We had 3 days. The first day, 90. Second day, it was 91. Third day, it was 93 degrees. And always at about the 70 to 75% humidity.
The humidity is the worst.
It was just killing us there, man.
And they don't like hearing that from us northerners, but the humidity makes it the worst.
That's it. When we get heat, you can just about count on the humidity.
Well, we had a big storm.
Yeah, I was going to say we had a big storm just before that, and when that heat hit, all that moisture in the ground, fog. We had fog all over the place. It was just, the air was just thick with moisture. Yeah.
Well, last Friday, we were out doing our golfing thing, me and the wife and whatnot, and I'm already, sweating, just doing nothing because it's so humid. Because there's a big front coming in, so it's pushing all this moist, warm air, and right behind it, and of course, it's pushing this, but there is not a breeze anywhere the entire day. Not a single leaf has moved on a tree at the highest possible point. Nothing has moved.
Nothing.
So we are out there just pouring. But right around the 7th or 8th hole, the wind started picking up, and we knew we were watching it on our phones. And by the 9th hole, we finally got off of there. It just started to rain by the time we got off of there, but it had dropped from the time we got out of our car to go golf the time we got back in our car to go home, it had dropped 18 degrees. It dropped from 90 down to 72.
Yeah. See, that's what happened with us is
Moist.
those 90-degree days, those 3 bad days. Otherwise, the 4 days before it in the 80s and the 4 days after it in the 80s. But there was breeze to go with that, so it wasn't quite as bad.
Hey, Samantha, how you doing?
It's yeah, using that. Yeah.
I was using that the other night when I was out in the panel. So,
yep.
Hey, Sam, that's such a cute picture.
That's, it's not often that even my bestest friends, if they've got a 2-hour live, I'll try to watch at least half of it, but to be able to get through a whole 2 hours of actual watching it, I'll let the whole thing run, but I'll be able to watch maybe half of it, But today I watched Sam's whole 2 hours. I watched every minute of it. I sat here and actually when I was done watching it, man, oh man, it took me 15 minutes to get rid of the coffee I drank during that time, and took about a half hour to be able to watch.
I need to pull some old Samantha up back when she first started coming to the channel, back when the kitchen was behind her, and
she's wearing those big rim glasses.
Absolutely. I gotta go through the archives here and.
I'll tell you what. There's times I actually miss those days. I'll never forget the one
back when everybody called her Faith instead of Samantha.
Yeah, and I'll never forget we were having a private chat, just chatting, but not live. And
I'm like, no,
don't do it. You were cute as can be, and you came off so prim and shy, and yeah, it was too good. It was too good back then.
She really didn't know us much then, so she was
right. So she was a little reserved and careful. Yeah.
Well, but their channel was Faith in the Fallen, so it was like
right.
They had a little more reserved music and stuff back then.
Right. But I'll never forget we're having this chat and Colin, her boy, I want my lunch. He wanted to eat, and she said, "Well, what do you want?" He says, "Mac and cheese." She says, "Fine, I'll make you mac and cheese," and she's getting everything ready while we're chatting, and she goes, "Oh my God, I don't know what to tell him." And I said, "What?" And she goes, "I don't have any milk. I need milk for this mac and cheese." I said, "Oh, that ain't a problem." I said, "Have you got condensed or evaporated milk?" "No, I don't have it." "You got powdered milk?" "No." I said, "You got plain old-fashioned coffee mate coffee creamer?" "Well, that I have." And I said, "Pour some in a glass, add the water, constitute it to the consistency of milk, and use that making the mac and cheese." She did. She give that kid that mac. He ate the whole box himself. He chowed it all down and never had a clue that she didn't have any milk in the damn house. And she goes, how did you come up with that? I said, "I raised 4 little brats." I said, "It was, yeah. Because you know how kids are. I want this." And you go, "Okay." And then you look in the cupboard, you go, "Oh shit, I'm missing an ingredient." And you tell the kid, "Pick something else." "No, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want it." And then you finally like, fine. If it calls for vinegar, go in the other room while I piss in it. You get just, I'll do whatever I got to do to make you happy, you little monster.
Pour running water.
Pour running water. Yeah.
That explains a lot of things, though.
That was, my kids. It wasn't until a year after we moved from Montana to Wisconsin. They asked me, "Dad, why don't you put pepper in our mac and cheese anymore?" And I go, "Pepper? I don't put pepper in your mac and cheese." And they go, "Well, you did out in Montana. You always put pepper in our mac and cheese." And then the light came on. I laughed. I go, "That wasn't pepper. That's ashes from the wood fire." And it was ashes from the fire pit because we were cooking over fire pit for years out there.
Gotcha.
And,
Wow.
and yeah, look at she said he's whining. Look at him.
There's whining. Yep.
There he's whining again. Where's my check? Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a pissed off Norwegian if you don't watch it. You the hell with your check.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Anne's just the girl to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And she's had just you remember last week's stream, he was telling us how he almost died, you know. Boy, Ann would kill him in about 5 minutes. Yeah.
He almost died. It sounded a lot like whining.
Yeah. I mean, what's the big deal,
died.
Right?
Yeah, almost died.
Stupid
face faker, man.
Oh, God. Ain't that aren't we terrible?
That's awful.
Isn't that just awful?
That's
awful.
Oh,
I almost died. I
don't think you'd take Ann, Cheesehead Chris. I think I'd have a hard time myself personally.
Oh, I tell you, she had me nervous about going to the Pepperhead convention in Chicago last year.
Oh, hell yeah. Year before last, 2 years, almost 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Was it? Oh, yeah, it was the year before last. It was the year before last. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Last year was the year we didn't end up having it because of the COVID. And we had a lot of plans made, boy. I had already had reserved a hotel room just a couple blocks away from there, and it had an adjoining room. So I reserved both rooms, and I figured if anybody had trouble booking a room, heck, they could have that adjoining room and just split what my cost was, you know?
Right.
And Ann goes, well, if you got an adjoining room, then I'm staying in that. She says, Samantha and I can stay in that adjoining room. And I thought, oh, fuck, this old boy ain't getting no fucking sleep. They'll be pounding on a goddamn door all fucking night. Hey, Sty, you want another drink? Hey, let's do this. Let's go do that. Oh, yeah. I figured, that was going to be some tough times.
Can you imagine Ann in America?
Oh, God. Great. Oh, God. I can think of some pubs I'd love to take her into, though. That she'd have those pubs just hopping. She'd end up with a crowd around her for sure. She would just go crazy here.
She would need people around her like us, so that she wouldn't have any problem with any anxiety or anything. So she felt comfortable to get herself feeling comfortable, because she wouldn't be able to go into any place like that and just be
no, not without one of us.
She would need one of us around her in order so she could get comfortable.
Sam, you're right. Ann plus Sam in person equals lots of trouble / fun, and that's what I thought too. That's gonna be.
That's all. You're missing out now too. Pinks and drinks. I mean, you got Sam. You got Teresa,
saw that.
You got Marcedel. I mean, those girls.
I saw that
crazy bunch, man. The estrogen. I mean, it's oozing out of my computer. Every time I turn on Pinks and Drinks, I'm over here mopping up the estrogen from everything that's going on in that panel. It's just,
I've watched these gals in private chats just going wild.
Oh yeah.
And then when I saw that they're starting to stream together like that, I'm going, this is
Oh, and don't forget Cindy. Yeah.
Cindy right in the mix. Yeah.
Well, that's someone else we're going to get to see. So when after I see Get Her Done, and we go down to the Pucker Butt Company, go hang out down there for a day. So we're going to see Cindy, Mike, and Chili Bean, Ojisan and his wife.
Yep.
Saucy and his wife. I think that's
you're so damn lucky.
That's going to be the bunch. And again, if anybody is in that area, you can get a hold of any of us on Facebook Messenger, July 6th or 7th or 8th, because we're going to be, Nashville area. If we know you, we want you to hang out with us. For sure.
That's cool. You're so damn lucky. Yeah. I'm jealous there.
I mean, there isn't anybody in the chat that I wouldn't want to meet given the opportunity to.
Yeah.
What's up, Jack Grandma?
Jack's grandma, good to see ya. Good to see ya. The and that was another one of my considerations about going ahead and upgrading the adventure trailer to a conventional camper is I may decide to just host one more year, and then after that just travel around, pull the camper around the country and go see folks. The there's so many places you can hole up with a camper that don't cost you an arm and a leg, and I figured I did an on the road budget, and with maintenance reserve and the like, wouldn't cost me any more than the way I'm living now. It'd be about the same. And so I thought, what the heck, why not?
You just got to stay in the southern states in the wintertime and come north when it gets warmer.
Follow the weather. Weather.
Yeah, they're not making Corvettes right now, there, Harry. Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
There's this whole computer chip thing.
Yeah.
I've got a guy that's been bugging me for like the last 4 months about his Corvette. I didn't hear from the guy when he put his deposit down for like a year. And then as soon as it started getting close, he bugged me for like 4 months. Finally, he got a build number where he can track his car. So he was tracking his car. So I didn't hear from him as much. And then, of course, they stopped building Corvettes. And he can see that. So now I still don't hear from him. But, man, I still want to get this Corvette delivered and get this guy, get him done and get him out of the way. Now they're not even building them because, computer chip. So
I wonder what kind of recourse a person would have if they got a pre-order,
I mean, you can always cancel.
What's that?
You can always cancel. There's no recourse. You can get your money back at any time.
But there is there's an implied contract there that, hey, I'm giving you money up front. You're going to provide me with this product. And then you don't provide the product and you say, well, we'll just give you your money back. Well, I went without that fucking car all this time. I could have been driving a nice car, and there are damages involved.
Yeah. Well, it isn't anything. It's like the pandemic. There's anything we can do about it.
Well, no, the manufacturer though, not the dealer. Not the dealer. The dealer wouldn't have any liability whatsoever.
Nothing the manufacturer could do about it.
Well,
trust me. They make money on these Corvettes. I mean, trust me. The vehicles they're putting out right now, the ones they're putting the computer chips in, are the vehicles they're making the most money on.
Right.
The problem with the Corvettes right now is parts. It isn't so much computer chips as it is parts. There are so many different manufacturers with these, competitive seats and all this other stuff they got in these Corvettes. It isn't so much computer chips with the Corvettes as it is parts.
Uh-huh.
Your regular vehicles, your everyday drivers, is computer chips. The more technology a vehicle's got, the more computer chips it requires.
Right. See, now that was something I got in a conversation with one of our campers, me and then my supervisor with the Forest Service. We were talking with him because he was asking why one of our campgrounds is closed. And we said, well, we want to reopen it, but it's cost prohibitive because just to create a new picnic table for one of those campsites, those picnic tables are $400. I mean, and they just don't have the budget to come up with 20 of those, Well, and he said it's the lumber that's killing you, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. And this guy is stuck here in the U.S. He's Canadian, and he's a lumber broker from Canada. That's what he does, is he's a broker for the lumber industry. He says, you want lumber? We got plenty in Canada. He says production in Canada is not shut down for any other reason except we got nowhere to yard this stuff anymore. He says, we got all the lumber you could want at the old prices just to get rid of it. And I got to thinking about that shit. And It's just like with the whole chip thing. I think there's something deeper going on. I don't want to call it a conspiracy, but I think there's something in the market, something else going on.
I think China's got something to do with it, but I can't.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, you guys can bag on me for whatever. I do have a feeling that if someone else was running our country at this particular point in time,
we wouldn't have this.
That we would not be in the same place. It may not. We may have a problem, but I don't think it'd be to the extent that it is right now.
Right.
Someone would have put his foot down. Someone would have done something in order to make sure that we're not going through what we're going through now.
Right. That production went on.
Again, there might still be the problem.
Right. But I agree with you, and I think the symptoms would be different. Of the problem. The symptoms probably would be monetary, would be, an economic cost, but the production would still be continuing, that things would have been done to make sure that production.
Because again, we would be thinking about the economy.
Right.
And the people and the Americans and everything else. So
right.
I will be right back.
You will. Boy, it's so great. I'm watching you guys over there chatting away. Yeah, Kathleen. Yeah, Jack's grandma. Sue China. You betcha. You betcha. And the thing is there's some things that economically are very feasible, but nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to do it. Is with China. What we need to do is, just like with this COVID issue, okay, come to an agreement, establish the fact that's where COVID originated. They covered crap up, and that's why it got so out of hand, and blah, 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 blah. If you want punitive action against China, we take it out of the debt we have with China. We start wiping out their debt, our debt to them. We start saying, guess what? We don't owe you this anymore. We don't need anything from them. What we need is to retire the debt with them, because this country's been borrowing from them way too long. And to me, it's as simple as that. Sanction them by relieving ourselves of debt to China. Yeah. Yeah, on the 23rd, Sam, what time does that show start? Because I tried to keep track of your conversation, and I didn't see what time your show starts on the 23rd. So if you can let me know, girl. Yeah. We'll try to figure out my stream to work around it somehow. Yeah, because I want to see you and Jay perform. And if it's going to be on Facebook, yeah. 6 Central Standard Time? Cool. Maybe I'll start my stream, because that's a 2-hour show. It's at 7 p.m. Alaska time. Okay. So yeah, that's 10 o'clock. We'll wrap up my stream by 10. Then I get to watch that whole show. Yeah. And then everybody here, I'll tell them all, you better get over there. Sty's going to come and get you. Yeah, you betcha. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. On the 23rd. That's next week. Okay, Matt. But Oh, hey guys. Well, Phil's out for the moment. I gotta play this. I gotta play this at least once in every stream. These are all my great channel members, and it's just freshly updated today. So check these folks out, guys. Here they are. It only takes 1 minute. Yeah, that crunching you heard at the beginning was because Phil wasn't muted.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, all of a sudden, crunch, crunch. I looked down and there's Phil down there digging in chips.
Yeah, how's it not muted? I don't know.
I don't know, because it automatically muted me.
Right.
You know,
Oh.
I don't know. I give up.
It's funny. I do that on my intro sometimes now because I'm sharing a file instead of what's already in StreamYard.
Right.
So sometimes when I do that, I don't pay attention, and I could be talking, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, and people are hearing me, and I'm not hearing me.
Right, and I've noticed that a couple of times, and I'm like, do I say something? You know, unmute myself and say, Phil, hey, you guys,
knock it off. Yes, that's exactly what you do. Exactly what you do.
Hey, Ritz Fritz. Yeah. I passed my chainsaw training. That, you know, that electric chainsaw I bought, I'm going to have to do a video on that, a demo, I guess.
Yeah.
That Atlas 16-inch 40-volt chainsaw I got, boy, does that cut wood, man. Oh, my God. I cut two big-ass hemlocks all into firewood, and they're about that big around at the base. And I bucked them all into 16-inch lengths,
really?
Both trees. And I bet you it didn't take me maybe 15, 20 minutes to buck up both trees. And with electric chainsaw, and it only used half of the battery capacity to buck up
amazing
those two trees. And it was amazing. I love that electric chainsaw, and it's quiet, you know. It's quiet, except that one guy that came over and said, "Are you making margaritas over here?" I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" He goes, "I could hear a blender running." I picked my saw up and fired it up, and I go, "Was it this sound?" He goes, "Oh shit, does that attach to a blender?" I said, "That's a chainsaw. That don't attach." He was hoping for margaritas. Yeah,
we just need like a bucket of margaritas, and you use the chainsaw.
To stir it.
Right.
Throw a block ice in there and cut it up with the chainsaw.
It's a good reason to have a bucket of margaritas. Any reason.
Yeah, you know.
Get a brand new Home Depot bucket, 5 gallons of margarita and a chainsaw and stir it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'd be a hell of a review by the time that bucket's empty.
Oh yeah. It wouldn't be any different than after like the second or third after party that we have on Tuesday night. So
right, I don't know how you guys.
Well, I don't. I go to the after party for probably about a half an hour just to make a presence, and then I'm gone because I got to work the next day. But those guys are after party. It's like
that's it. Only once did I go to their after party, and I was just lurking. I wasn't going to say nothing because I knew damn well if you start talking to them, you ain't getting out of there. And I don't know how those guys can do it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they don't have to get up the next day. That's the only thing I can imagine. That's my problem.
The thing is I don't have to get up the next day. I just want to be able to get up the next day.
That's true too.
That's one thing I did find with doing this hosting. 4 times now I've had campers, they come over and they start BSing around my campfire, and then they go, hey, we'll be right back. Then they come back with beers, so I don't have to buy any beer. I just wait for one of my campers to show up with a few beers, and they always go, hey, Sty, here, have a beer. Yeah, okay, thank you.
And the good thing about when someone brings you beer like that around the campfire, usually they don't have a ton of it, so so you have a couple, you just get a nice little good thing going.
Yeah.
You're not going to get blotto or nothing like that.
Right. You're not sitting there with 2 or 3 30-packs next to you.
That's when you go camping. That's not when you're hosting a camper.
That's right.
When you're the camper.
When you're the camper, you bring that volume with you. But when you're just the host and somebody's stopping by, yeah, then you have 2, 3 beers in the evening, maybe 4.
There are many posts on my Facebook from when we used to go camping up north here in Michigan, and they're just I mean, we would throw them in that general direction. There was a general direction where the beer cans went, and it was just
and clean up the next day. Yeah, we had the one deer camp that we had out in the yard, I would call it, out front of the cabin. We had a big plywood cutout of Paul Bunyan with no face in it, and that's what we'd throw our beer cans at.
Yeah.
Try to throw it in Paul Bunyan's face,
Gotcha.
And behind it was they had one of those, what was it? I think it was a 200-gallon water tank, plastic water tank. They had sawed the top off of it and used it like a recyclable container, and that was behind that. So next day you go and look and you go, oh wow, we got about a third of the cans in there. All the rest of them are laying all over the place around Paul Bunyan. At least you knew they're all going to be by Paul Bunyan. That was the rule. You had to throw them at Paul Bunyan. Yeah. That's good, Samantha. You got some sleep. Yeah, getting back on schedule. That's the tough part where you.
Yeah, she was complaining the other night about not getting much sleep.
Yeah, the insomnia. See, I've been fortunate, man. I got a routine at camp now. I get in my trailer about 10:30, and I'll spend about an hour messing with video stuff, on the laptop. 11:30 sharp, man, I'm in the bunk. I crash, and I'm up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then I'm out and got my coffee going by 7:30 and start my day. It's that way every single day now. Yeah.
When you were earning that thing, you kind of feel like you have to have a schedule.
See, and they told me I don't have to. I do whatever I want, whenever I want, kind of thing. But
I would have to.
I like getting up that early, and then I head out at 9 o'clock to do everything campground. And on the worst day, I'm done by 1. On the absolute worst day. So from 1 o'clock until 10:30 that night, I ain't got nothing to do but what I want every day, every single day. Even my lawn mowing days, I mow my campground that I'm in and the boat landing there, and it takes me about 2.5 hours to mow the whole damn place, and so I do that one morning. I don't start that till about 10:30 in the morning. I want give people time to get up, have their breakfast, and not have some asshole running around with a ride mower in their campsite. But I'm done. I'm always done by 12:30 in the morning. I got all day to screw off. I could go to my other campground and get that done the same day and do the other big boat landing and get it all done in one day. But that's a work day then. That now I'm talking I'll probably have 6 to 8 hours of work all day. I do it the next day. Then I do that campground and the boat landing, and it takes me about 3 hours to do those. And so yeah, I got about 6 hours max tied up in it. But I split it between 2 days, so I got all kinds of time.
Yeah.
The I can't wait to finally, when I got brave and I walked out in that water yesterday to make myself a dock, that's when I realized, because I went out on the kayak for the first time last week. Oh my God. Yeah. You talk about an innie. Shit, that was cold, man. That water was still pretty freaking cold. But now, yesterday, that water was nice. It was, it's cool, but it wasn't cold. And so, yeah, I got to, this week, if the weather holds, I'll be out in the kayak this week.
Yeah.
Do a little filming on the kayak, I guess.
We've been in the pool a couple of times over the last week. This week, not this beginning of this week, not so much, because here it's been in the 70s. But I think it was Saturday or Sunday. We had Mirny, my granddaughter, over with my daughter.
Yeah.
And we had her with her little floating vest on, had her swimming all over that pool. So yeah, I apologize for saying this, but there were some tears flowing when we were out there doing that with her. But you know what? She's going to learn how to swim. We're going to make sure she knows how to swim, and it was a good time. It was good watching her do that, and we plan on keeping her doing that all summer long. So,
wow, that's great.
yeah.
That's that's a giant leap, actually.
Well, we were all working on that we've been working with that with the kids since they got in the pool.
Right.
The pool. It was always about trying to teach them how to swim and everything else.
Right.
I mean, but for most kids at age, 3.5, 4, they're not an accomplished swimmer yet.
Right. It takes a while for them to develop that skill and the confidence and for the majority of us, we know the history there, and for her to be willing and get beyond that take that first step and then learn that she can still enjoy that.
Yeah, I was the first one in the pool, and she had a death grip on me for the first.
I bet.
Then my wife got in there, and it got a little better. And then her mom got in there, and it got a little better. And then by the end of the thing, I think her fear was pretty much almost gone. I mean, every now and then she get choked on a little water, just like any little kid would.
Yeah.
But, she was. And again, she'll probably be the same way the next time we go to get her in. She'll probably start off a little apprehensive and things like that. But,
right. Yeah. Hey, Yoren, good to see you. JCT, hi.
Good to see you, Yoren, JCT.
Yeah, David Jones, that's right. Yeah, Sam's mind is going 1,000 miles a minute, I'm sure. The way she can write songs and pound out songs, that's because she's got such an active mind. And that makes it very difficult to get good sleep, is if your mind is constantly, I get that way. If I overload myself intellectually, I can't sleep, man. It's because I'm thinking of shit all night, and it's like, quit thinking. What do I got to do to quit thinking? Because it's like you're laying there having conversations with yourself all frickin' night, and it's like, shut up, and I'm trying to go to sleep, and you're talking to yourself, right? Hey, plain old Chuck, good to see you there, buddy. What you got there?
That's just little Aiden's garden.
Oh yes.
This was it wasn't quite black outside, but it was dark. You can kind of see there's a little frog there on the left that's lit up, a little moon ball in a circle. But that's his little garden that
isn't that
more or less Connie has made for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's in your yard?
Oh, that's in our backyard. Yep, right outside our
That is,
porch. Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I all right, all right. That makes me think so much of this buddy of mine. His daughter, she had a little boy, and um, a freak deal. He ended up with a aneurysm and passed away. And that kid absolutely adored Superman, right? His gravesite now. My buddy Mike, he fought like hell with the cemetery, and finally the light came on. They realized it was that important to his mother, especially, and to the whole family. But it ended up being important to the whole community. You drive past that cemetery, there's a 6'4" Superman standing there with his hands on his hips,
Awesome.
full stone statue painted immaculately. He looks real because they didn't do the paint in gloss, so it looks like frickin' Superman standing there, and between his legs is the headstone, a little headstone. It's the most awesome thing I ever saw. And I asked him, I said, man, that had to have set you back 10 grand to get that thing put in there, you know? And he said, actually, he says, it only cost me $1,200. I said, what? There's no way. No way anybody, even if it's made out of concrete. He goes, it's not made out of concrete. That's a carved stone statue. And he says, and custom painted, by hand. And he says they come out and repaint it every 3 years. I said, you got to be shitting me. He said, why is it only $1,200? He said the outfit they used, they set up all these little fundraisers to get enough revenue to cover their overhead and costs and a little bit of profit on it. And the difference was $1,200. That's all that came out of my buddy's pocket. I said, shit, I bought a flat headstone for a family member, and it cost me $800 for a headstone. I said, you got Superman for $1,200?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I want Thor standing over me, man.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. If I can get him for $1,200, but I wouldn't be so lucky.
One of the stones we got out there now has got a Superman, shield on it. And it's funny because me and the wife were talking. We were driving around on Sunday, just trying to find something that reminded us of Aiden at anywhere, whether it was Menards or Home Depot or wherever. And there's this little market up the street from us and whatnot. And it's like Connie was talking about, her brother, and her brother always, he wrote a letter when Aiden passed away. Mm-hmm. And on there at the end, it said, my little Clark Kent. Because cool. Aiden was born with bad eyes.
Right.
So at a very young age, probably around 1.5 or 2 years old, they had these little glasses that would go around. They had a little strap and everything. Kid wouldn't keep them on. He's like most kids that age, he wouldn't keep them on. But my brother-in-law when he saw them, it was his little Clark Kent. And Connie had said, wouldn't it be cool if we could find something with like a Superman shield or something that we could put out in the garden, along those lines.
Right.
And it wasn't an hour later, we're at this place, just off the beaten path type place. It's someone's house that they've turned into like this like market type place where they have a lot of outdoor stuff that you can buy,
sure.
As far as the spinning stuff and flowers and almost like a greenhouse type place. And we're going through all their stuff and sure enough, we came across two things. One that I really liked, and then the other one was a Superman thing. And,
awesome.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Awesome. That's That's so cool. The little ones. I love it when I see where somebody did something real personable and special, that stands out. Because even people, total strangers, they see it and it touches them.
Sure.
Uh,
Well, you just know that there's a little one there.
yeah, yeah.
You don't have to see the dates on the headstone. You just know that there's a little one there.
Without even having to look at the headstone.
Yeah. So
there's a cemetery in Bayfield, Wisconsin, that we never realized it, and I was walking through and just kind of looking at it, because older cemeteries tell you quite a bit of history about the area. And way in this back corner at the cemetery, there were all these small headstones, and I started looking at them. None of them, not one of them, were children over the age of 8 years old. And I can't remember what type of fever or what it was that had gone through the community. I looked at the dates on it, and it was like between 1880 and 1882. But the ex-wife and I counted them, and it was shocking. There was 103 in there. So 103 children out of that small community were lost in 2 years, and
give me a second. I'll be right back.
You betcha. Yeah. Making a TikTok video. There you go. The yeah, gosh, thanks everybody for popping in. I love seeing it. Whenever I see one of you popping in, some of you are here and you're back, and I love seeing you. I spend all week just waiting for Wednesday nights and I think you folks could understand. Last night, I'm going, yep, I'm going to shake it out early. I got to get on the road. I got to get up to Ashland. I got to get a few videos ready to post for during the week while I'm gone next week. I got errands to run. I got things to do. And then all of a sudden this morning, when I got up and had my coffee, I started thinking, I got all this crap to do and everything. Is there a way that I can not go? And then I started thinking of you guys, and it was like, there ain't no way in hell you're keeping me from town. I got to get to town. I got to see you guys. I got to see you. That 3 days from now, I'll be thinking back to tonight and saying, thank God I was there to see you guys, yeah. Hey, J-Ron, great to see you. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different levels of loss that some losses are just, unless you've actually been through it, is basically inconceivable. We can ask ourselves 1,000 times, what if, how would I feel? How would I react? And none of us really know. I've had a few tragedies during my lifetime that never saw them coming, but thought before they ever happened, what if? I think I could do this and handle it that way, but no. Until you've gone through a specific tragedy, you just don't know. People just, none of us are ever prepared for those things in life that we just don't see coming. They just, they're just life-changing events. And yeah, but you do your best to try to remain happy and upbeat for those that are still alive and around you. That's it. Yeah. God has a plan. Just remember, God's got a plan.
That is true, Matt. And
That's right.
you're talking about Aiden. I take it while I was gone. We,
Yeah,
you know,
Jay Ron had said he couldn't imagine the
and
situation.
and I'm not going to talk about it here, but we've talked about me and the wife have talked about, there is a plan.
Yeah,
There was a plan, and whatever the plan was, it was meant to be. It wasn't supposed to
right,
be,
right. We don't know
but
the reasons behind the bigger plan. We
we
don't
may never know.
we never yeah, we may never ever really fully understand. But the best things and the worst things throughout life, the longer you live, I'm telling you, the longer you live, all of a sudden you'll see down the road, way the hell down the road, something will occur or something will happen, and you'll go, it'll remind you of something that happened way in the past. And you'll go, I can't believe how prepared I was this time. And it's because for some reason that was going to happen. Something was going to happen down the road that would have been even harder to deal with if I hadn't dealt with that pain back then.
Yeah.
So there's a plan. There's a plan, and we could beat ourselves to death trying to figure out what that plan is. And I just believe it's not our role to know, and it's our role is to carry on. We need to carry on. That's like your little granddaughter. I mean, yeah, your relationship with her really hasn't changed. Really,
It's
Phil,
actually only gotten stronger, actually.
it's I was going to say the only thing it may have changed is your bond with her is now stronger. The You love her just as much as you did before that,
Sure.
but now it's like you got more of a reason to show it. It's yeah.
Well, you never know with anything. I mean, the last, all right, I'm not. So I read statistics years and years ago when we had 3 kids. We got 6 kids. I read statistics years and years ago. Once you have more than 3 kids, the chances increase. I think it was almost by 15 or 20% every child you have after that you will bury one of your children. If you live to be old, that you will bury one of your children before you die.
Right.
If you live to be old, you don't die first. And so that's one thing that's always kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
But never thought it'd be
right.
A grandchild.
Right. What are those odds, in the bigger picture? Right. See, and I catch myself worrying about it. I got to stop myself and say, stop, get your mind off that shit. I've got 15 grandchildren and 2 great grandchildren. What do you think the odds are with 17 kids that something tragic's going to happen to one of them? And so, but I can't allow myself to think about that.
Well, you don't want to die yourself, but you hope you're dead before it happens.
Well, and I think of my grandmother. She lived to be 97. And my last conversation with her was quite long. We talked for about 6 hours. And she was telling me how she was ready to go. She said, you live 100 years and saw all of the wars that she saw. She saw all of the wars, both great wars, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, everything. She saw all of that. She said, that's too much. That's too much for one person to have to witness. She said, I lived through the Great Depression. She said, you should only have to go through one thing like that in a lifetime, And she said the worst part was, though, everybody she knew through the first half of her life She came from a family of 11 kids. She
Wow.
was the last surviving child. She had no sisters or brothers. Every one of them passed away. Their children, she said that out of her siblings' children, I think it totaled about, it was like 40 kids throughout the whole family. She said there was only 5 still alive. So 35
Wow.
of her nieces and nephews had passed away. And she said, everybody I knew through my life is dead. And she watched 3 of her sons pass away, but she didn't see my mother pass away, which was good. It was good. My mother was with her to the end, at least. But she had gotten to the point where she said, if you live too long, death becomes a given. You just know someone you're close to is going to pass away if you live too long, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm 64, and I think about that every once in a while. It's like, who's next, man? Who's next? And you know, I lost 2 of my siblings, right? My sister and brother, and I only have the one left. She'd be the youngest girl in our family. I was the baby of the family. And fortunately, at this point, I've lived 2 years longer than either of my older siblings that have passed away already. I've been kind of weirdly lucky that way. I think I'm being punished. I'm being punished. You're not going anywhere, Sty. We're not done with you yet. Yeah. 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 The you know, and that's why now I've told a few campers that over the last few weeks. They go, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because I can." There's not a good, bad, or indifferent reason. It's just I can host. I can still do that. I'm enjoying it. I love the outdoors. Keeps me out. And if I on rain days, guess what I do on rain days? I got a whole stack of DVDs over here going down that I'm swapping out. On a rain day or rain night, I don't go out there and play survivalist and bushcrafter. I sit in my little trailer and I throw a DVD in my laptop and I watch a movie and I eat peanut butter cookies and yeah. You know, at a certain point, you have to say, I'm going to get as much out of life as I can every minute.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah. You can't quit living life. I've had that with my wife at times too, but she's like, you know what? We really gotta bear down, and we really gotta stop spending money, and we really gotta do this, and we really gotta do this. I'm like, you know what? I understand. I got you. The frivolous spending and whatnot. But you know what? I'm not going to stop living. I'm not going to spend next 5, 10, 15 years stop living my life. Because that's, when you get to a certain point of your age where you're going to retire. But if you're retired and you're old and decrepit and you can't, enjoy it, then what good was it?
Right.
If you didn't have fun when you're in your 20s, if you didn't have fun when you were in your 30s, you're going into your 40s and your 50s, and you're 70 or 80 years old, and you got a stick and you're just kind of hobbling around and
doing that old fart shuffle down across the crosswalk, and you got 10 cars honking their horns at you. Hurry up, you old fart! Would you hurry up and die?
Right? No.
Shit, you could die faster than you could get across the street. What the hell's the matter with you? And that's the thing is I've known several guys that they were career people. I mean, they worked 35, 40 years, same career, same job. They hit retirement and they died a year or two later.
Right.
And they didn't do a damn thing except work their asses off for 35, 40 years. They didn't do special things. They never spent a frivolous dime. That, you know, they never enjoyed that. And they were very clear about it. I don't have time to enjoy life. I have to make sure that I'm totally taken care of when I retire. And then they get to retirement and the poor bastard dies. And their kids get all of that.
Well, their lives are so structured around doing this that when they're not doing this, something goes on. I mean, there's plenty of people that they work their entire life to get to that point of retirement, and once they get to the point of retirement, then they're gone.
Yeah.
You gotta take time to smell the flowers on the way.
Yeah.
They talk about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's like 3 days ago, I got some lake orchids. Got some lake orchids that blossomed right down by my boat landing at my campsite. And I thought, man, that's awesome as hell. I walk out there and I'm snapping pictures of these purple orchids that are wild, just growing right there on the shoreline. And then I realized I'm up to my ankles wearing $200 hikers, and all that muck went right over the tops of those and down into those hikers. And I'm going, well, that's nasty,
right?
So I had to throw them in the box of my truck, drive to the boat landing, and wash them out at the boat landing. And they finally were dry today. It took 3 days to dry them out.
Well, 3 days. I was gonna say a day and a half, but 3 days. Wow.
Yeah, it took 3 days to dry them out, and I'm still probably going to wash them again because I think about that lake muck. Are they going to stink if they get warm or something? You know, but it's funny because I looked at them this morning sitting there in the trailer, and I'm going, yeah, the flowers were worth it, you know, because they were. I had never seen so many of those orchids in one spot.
Yep.
Wild like that. And I thought, yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. They're just shoes, for God's sakes. It's my fault I paid $200 for them. You know, it's not the orchid.
Bravo, how you doing, man?
Hey, you have a good night, James. We'll see you,
Freeman.
Brother. You take care. Tell sis I love her. Bye bye. Had to start them all. D-card. Yeah. Or trying to start an old knucklehead Harley that wants to kick you in the back of the shin when your foot slips off the kickstart. Just about break your. All of a sudden, you end up with a new knee between your old knee and your ankle. I've had a couple of Harleys knock my ass right on the ground. I had one send me airborne about 6 feet.
Really?
Backfired on the downstroke, and it threw my ass up. I'd say my ass was about 6 feet off the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, it hurt coming back down on top of the bike.
The up part wasn't the hard part.
The up part went pretty well. It was the down part straddling that bike. It was a hardtail chopper, so it didn't bounce at all. I hit it, and the bike still stood there, and I kind of peeled off of it, laid there on the blacktop for 5 minutes.
It's not the fall that hurts; it's a sudden stop.
That's it. That's yeah.
You're fine until you have to stop.
You know what I hate is when you're on a commercial flight and there's a heavy crosswind and you're heading down the runway. They're going to take off, right? And some asshole in the center aisle says, "Did you know statistically that all crashes typically happen on takeoff or landing?" Don't say that shit.
Exactly right.
Don't say that shit in the airplane. You can say it out there in the terminal somewhere. You don't have to be saying that shit in the airplane when the damn plane's going down the runway at a 45-degree angle because of the damn crosswinds. And you're saying, yeah, most crashes happen on takeoff or landing. Shut the hell up. Yeah, God, you're so reassuring. And I got I got a kick out of it though. I was flying over Washington D.C. and terrible thunderstorms, and the pilot said, "We got clearance. We're going to put her down." And well, we're coming into Dulles International, and they put that plane right up on its side, and they're making this tight turn, and then it just drops to the. You can see the frickin' airport right out the windows. It's like, yeah, there's no way you can drop fast enough for us to land there. Oh yeah, they laid that plane right on its side, come around, and at about a 45-degree angle, leveled her out, and put her right on the runway. Well, when they tipped that plane up, a couple of cargo compartments popped open, and this smart ass, about 4 rows in front of me, yells out, "We're gonna die!"
You probably wasn't a smart ass.
and there was at least 30 or 40 people on that plane that agreed with him.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they're all like, "Yeah, we're gonna," because they're all echoing them. Yeah, "We're gonna die."
Well,
Yeah.
I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. We were in Hawaii and we were going over to the Big Island.
Real quick. Hi, Quit Mike. Hello, Saucy Shade brother. Hello. Okay.
Yeah, we were headed over to the Big Island of Hawaii to do our things, and the National Guard was flying us over. Now, these guys are going to get their flight time in.
Yep.
So this runway on the island where we are, when you get to the end of the runway, there's water. There's a drop off and there's water. And we're all in the back of this big plane. That's not what you guys are used to. We got rows where we're facing one another. It's like a cargo plane. So we're
right. You're sitting on the outer walls of the fuselage, facing each other.
It's nothing like you can imagine unless you've seen inside a military plane. And we're sitting there. We got our backpacks in between our legs. We got our gear on. We got our helmets, our rifles, everything else. And we're taking off. And of course, we know this. They've told us this now. And we're taking off, and this thing's rumbling now. And usually you can feel a plane, the nose go up, and you're beginning to take off. And you have that sense of flight, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We never got that sense of flight. We were going down the runway, still kind of leveled off. And when we got to the end of that thing, it did this.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least it felt like it did that. It did that because there's nothing under us. And there were guys that their hands went right up in the air. I mean, suddenly, you have that sense of, boom,
you're dropping.
You go down. And there were guys that their eyes got this big. Mine probably did too. Hands went up in the air. And we were fine. Okay. So now we're headed over to the Big Island. Now, when we get over to the Big Island, we've got cargo in the back of this thing that's on these tracks. They open the tailgate, and then they release it, and it goes out. Well, when they do this, they're going slow, and they make the thing climb when they drop the stuff out the back.
Yep. So it works as a ramp.
And of course, these guys are getting their hours in and everything else. So when we get to this island, we just want to get the fuck off.
Right. Get us off this plane.
Let us off the plane. Do what you got to do. But no, they got to do it with all the troops on there. So we're all on there. And they're doing all these maneuvers in this thing, dropping all this shit out. There were 2 or 3 guys. It wasn't me. I would tell you if it was. There were 2 or 3 guys that puked in their helmet because that's what. But most of us were nervous. Most of us were like, "Oh my gosh!" We felt like this could be it. And it was the absolute. I mean, it was the absolute worst. Yeah. But that was. We were talking about plane rides. That was crazy.
Buddy of mine out in Montana, he's a pilot for Flying Tigers, hauled freight, 747 freighter, and he flew the beluga whales from Minnesota out to Seattle or some damn place. 2 big ass water tanks in that airplane with a freaking beluga whale in each one of them. And he says you haven't felt anything weird like this until you were there. Because he said he took off down that runway. The covers on these tanks were just like splash guards. They weren't watertight. And he said, so if you got any big splash, the inside of the fuselage of that cargo plane was wet. That would get wet, right? Well, he said they took off the end of that runway. He said everything seemed cool. He said they got up to about 1,800, 2,000 feet. And he says, everything's going good. Everything's going good. They were just starting to level out and going to gain some altitude, right? And he said all of a sudden his freaking airplane gained about 40 miles of airspeed within a second, just like that. And then all of a sudden it lost about 80 miles of airspeed. And then it would gain it, and then it would lose it. You get it. Look, he said he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He said it's just like somebody, like they had a big rubber band on the tail of that son of a bitch. It was the water in those tanks would flow forward and hit the front, and it would push the plane forward. Then it would roll back, and it would pull the plane back. It was doing that number back. He said he thought it was the end of the world for sure. He says, no, it was just that water moving. And he said the only thing, he said that was the only thing that ever gave him such a weird sensation that doesn't seem like it's even physically possible. But he says, yeah, it's just that water motion. But he said the worst things to ever carry in a freight plane, he flew out of Indonesia with a 747 freighter packed full of cages. One side of the airplane was full of fucking snakes in cages. The other side was full of fucking monkeys. And he had to fly them sons of bitches somewhere down in the southwest, all the way from Indonesia. He says he listened to them fucking monkeys screaming for the whole fucking flight. He said them goddamn monkeys were screaming constantly. And he said they didn't realize until about, I can't remember how many hours he said their flight was. It was ridiculous. But you can imagine, you know, from Indonesia all the way to the southern United States, that's a hell of a flight, you know. And I bet you they landed on fumes, you know. But he said about an hour before they landed, his co-pilot goes, damn, you know what? I didn't understand why they put this big cable back there from the front of the plane to the back down the center of the fuselage. He says, I'll be right back. And he went back there and welded. My buddy said he opened that cockpit door and you could hear the monkeys just freaking out, screaming because of them fucking snakes. The monkeys hated them snakes.
Sure.
He said all of a sudden it got dead quiet. He heard an occasional monkey make a little chirp or something, but not screaming anymore. His co-pilot come back in the cockpit and said, God damn it, he says, they put that big cable down the center of our fuselage and way back by the tail. He says they've got 40 feet of frickin' tarp attached to that cable. I pulled that between the monkeys and the snakes, and the monkeys shut up because they couldn't see the snakes. They took that whole flight. And now they got all these mentally disturbed monkeys they got to drop off. And he said the next worst thing, and he said it affected his landing. He said takeoff went good, but landing was a bitch. And that was cattle. He had a plane full of fucking cows.
That would shift too.
Yep. He said them goddamn cows, they got them tethered, but they're still standing there. They're on their feet. And he said, taking off, he says it was weird because those cows, it's just like they leaned into it, went right with the flight, got them up in the air, everything was cool. When they landed, he says, damn cows falling on their asses and slide because during the flight, they filled the fuselage full of cow shit, so it was all slippery.
Oh.
So they were all falling down when he landed. He said that was too freaking weird. But yeah, he'd come home. Oh, you never guess what I hauled this time and that time. The one time I thought it was pretty funny. They fucked up. He said that you want to get freaked out. You're flying along and you think everything's going cool. Your flight plan is right to order. And all of a sudden you got two Russian jets, one off of each wingtip. And they're trying to talk to you in broken English to tell you that you're too close to their airspace. You're not in it, but you're too close. And we're going to escort you away from our border. He said, son of a bitch, trying to be polite. And what can I do? I don't want to do anything wrong. He says, because not the language barrier was bad enough, but if you said something that sounded like, yeah, you're going to tell them to F off accidentally, and they go, oh, well, yeah, here, F off with this. Another air accident close to Russia. Yeah.
Well, remember how cautious we were after 9/11? I mean, there would be jets up in the air in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
After 9/11, the months following that. I mean, it was like,
yeah.
You're
God, our air unit in Duluth, them damn fighter jets were flying over Ashland every day, 6 or 8 times. And what they were doing was they'd have them out on patrol, and they'd fly over every airport through a certain region. And those jets are just buzzing around those airports. And they did that in shifts throughout the day and night for about a week after the towers went down. And people here it was like, what the hell? Well, terrorists ain't going to do nothing in Ashland. Who here gives a shit? Especially some terrorists. I mean,
well,
we worry more about our bar fights than something blowing up.
We didn't have that problem here in Michigan, but we have Selfridge Air National Guard Base, and the fighters from Selfridge could be. I forget what. Don't quote me on this. I'm not going to talk like it, but they could be like at Washington D.C. in a matter of a very short period of time. So they were always on standby. So those things, boom, something
they were
happened.
ready.
They were gone. Yeah,
they were off the ground in seconds, man.
Yep. That was when I was a kid, that my dad was actually stationed at before he retired. So,
oh wow, yeah. The day the towers went down, I had a training session that I was doing, and I was collaborating with a guy from the let's see. No, he was from the Treasury. He flew out to us here from DC, spent the night. That morning, we're doing the training session. I had 5 tribes show up, and we're doing financial training, high-end training for CFOs for other tribes. And all of a sudden, it's just before we started the session, and I said, where the hell's our coffee? There's supposed to be 2 big urns of coffee in here. We got 40 people here. And I said, and everybody's saying, I don't know where the coffee is. I said, I'll be right back. Well, we're doing this session at a conference center at a casino. So I'm going to go find the casino manager and tell him, get my frickin' coffee in here. At $250 a pot. I expect it to be here. And as I was walking out, this guy's walking by, and he's got like a 50-inch flat screen TV. And I go, hey, where are you going with that? And he goes, putting it back in storage. The other conference doesn't need it. I said, we could use it. Take it in there. Hook that sucker up to cable and put the news on or something, so those people got something to watch while I get our coffee. I come walking in there with this guy, these 2 guys following me with carts with the big urns of coffee. I walked in there, and just as I walked in, the first plane hit the tower. Boom. I got 40 people and this poor bastard from Washington, D.C. seeing it live, and they're going, uh-oh, this ain't good. The look on that boy's face, he turned and looked at me, he goes, Sty, he says, I sure hope the government's willing to pay for my room for a while, because he says, something tells me I ain't getting into D.C. I said, you ain't getting into D.C. for a week, buddy. It's going to be a week before they let you back home. And it actually 9 days before he was able to fly in to where he needed to go. 9 days. And then the security was a bitch. He called me when he finally got to D.C. and he says, I got very high security clearance. And he says, I was delayed everywhere. He says, they didn't give a shit. He said, I could have been the Queen of England and they would have strip searched my ass. He said they weren't letting nothing happen in D.C. at the time.
Yeah, we're about 25-minute drive from Flint Bishop Airport here in Michigan. And, normally you'll see they're not low. There's nothing low. It's not like you live by an airport.
Right.
But you, every now and then something will be low. But, I mean, just to be able to look up in the air on 9/11, and nothing is doing anything in the air. It was done. And it was that way for, a week or more. When you look up in the sky, there wasn't a single plane. There wasn't a flashing light. There was nothing going on in the air. That was what was really, really, really weird.
Yeah. Hey, Killer Curations and Mayberry. Good to see you. Raven. Yeah, that was the same way here, because from Duluth, they're basically puddle jumpers, turboprops, small jets, running from Duluth to Ironwood, Michigan. And they run off the bay here. And you can see them going over the Apostle Islands. Well, they're up there, they're up there 8,000-10,000 feet when they're coming through here. And when those towers went down, the only thing you saw were fighters making their rounds. Making their rounds. And it was because of the port cities. They said that they bumped up all the defenses, Duluth, and a couple of port towns in upper Michigan, and because they're watching the ports, major shipping areas. But all of those domestic flights where you're used to seeing them 8-10 times a day, none of them. Dead air, just dead air. And then I was on an ambulance crew at the time, and we got right away, they called us in for a special meeting, and I was a driver, and they informed us, guess what, you guys, I don't care if you're off shift or not, you carry your pagers, because we pulled 3 ambulances out of retirement, and we already had 4 that were operating, so now we had 7. And I said, why are you pulling those old ambulances out? No more life flights. Life flights are not going to be allowed until further notice. So you guys got to be ready to transport guys to Duluth, people to Duluth. So we were running bodies from Ashland to Duluth 2-3 times a day, because a lot of them needed life flights, so you had a full paramedic crew on board with you. And I hated those trips with a passion. No, this guy belongs in a helicopter, not my ambulance. No. I don't know if he's going to make it, And so you're driving like a madman because they can't fly. No, wouldn't allow even the life flight choppers up in the air.
Hey, MBA, how you doing, man?
MBA, hey, Roland, it's great to see you, bud. Hey, I had something happen yesterday that shocked the hell out of me. Towards evening, it was so calm and nice, and I took my Hobro, which is a 4-string strum stick, but you play it like a pedal or like a steel guitar. Had that puppy on my lap, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just learning it. I'm just learning it. I started picking, and I had the 2nd string snap on that sucker, and it came up, slapped me across the side of the face like a son of a bitch. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have a permanent scar on the left side of my bit. No, it went away it went away by late this morning. But boy, it left a hell of a nice red mark there. I've never had a string pop on me and smack me in the face. Yeah, you got a string instrument laying flat on your lap. Don't put your face over them strings. Yeah, I had them tuned 1 octave too high. They were just too tight, and they were those strings were pretty aged, so they were due to be swapped out. But that was pretty shocking. I thought, hey, my practice is going pretty good today. Getting used to the slide. Yeah. And all of a sudden, bang. Oh, it had happen on a banjo? Yeah. Yeah. I had a 5-string banjo back in the 70s. I played a bit, and I've had the narrow gauge strings, a couple of them pop on me. Age strings, and just tuning a little too tight, and bing. This is the first time I got smacked in the face, so yeah, I bought myself a mandolin, and guess what? I've tuned it 6 or 8 times already. I can't play the son of a bitch, but I've tuned it 6 or 8 times. I found out that, in fact, I think it was Bill Monroe that I heard say, the mandolin is an instrument that you'll spend an hour tuning, and you finally get it tuned just to find out it's not in tune. I think I understand what he was talking about. That's a son of a bitch tuning a mandolin. I tell you what, when you got those 8 strings, I tell you, that you think you got it. You think you got it, and then there's just one string off, and
bing, 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 bing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm determined. I want to learn to play that mandolin so damn bad. I've been playing my dulcimer a little bit, but the hobro, been playing that. Yeah. I wish I had somebody that could sing worth a shit, because I can't. So then they could
sing before you get the mandolin out. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. Well, it would probably sound pretty good, you and I together. It sounded like it was meant to be that way. Yeah.
Mandolin out of tune, us out of tune. We'd be good.
Yeah, we'd be good, man. Yeah. Listen to that shit. They're both out of key exactly the same way.
We can bring MBA up here. We all good.
Well, at least with MBA, he's a master at ad-libbing.
When he knows the words, I don't know the
words. Well, that's what I'm talking about. He's a master at ad-libbing. I've watched him so many times after a little bit of the cannon jar, it starts getting a little empty.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he'll be halfway through a song, and all of a sudden he's making up lyrics like you wouldn't believe. And it's just freaking hilarious. I laugh my ass off. I wish I had that talent. That just all of a sudden he's just totally off the wall, and you're going, those lyrics never existed before today.
Some of that shine will make you talk in tongues. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, he's good at that shit. Yeah, he can talk in tongues when he's. Yeah, look at him laughing. That guy. Yeah. He knows. He's heard it enough from everybody else. That's one thing I've missed during camp is if MBA's playing, I ain't here to hear it. It pisses me off. All last winter, every Sunday when I do my Sty Story Sundays, Roland would start a couple hours before my stream.
Right.
And I'm doing video editing and getting my stream all set up, and I get to watch Roland and listen to the music. That was awesome.
Well, since
So
you've been
what's
gone on Sunday,
everyone up to tonight?
since you've been gone on Sunday nights, he just kind of bleeds into the rest of the night, you know.
Uh-huh.
So where your time used to be, he would back off right around the time you would go live. He sometimes
Yeah,
he just goes
we'd
all around.
overlap a little bit, you know. Yeah. But he just keeps rattling on. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
He goes longer than he used to, so it's good.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yep.
Because that's it. I heard you mention on Samantha's stream that, you know, there's that at your time, that 8 o'clock slot, you know, that there's an 8 o'clock slot 6 days a week that where I used to, during those particular situations, I had streams Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And all 5 of those, except for Wednesday, opened right up, you know.
Oh yeah, well, like say Monday is me and Micah starting at, I don't start till 9:15. Tuesday I'll go to do 2:10. Wednesday we're here. Thursday is clouds and stouts. Friday there's no set person on Friday. So Friday's and even Saturday is kind of not set. But then Sundays, NBA usually starts a couple hours before you used to. So
right. I'm glad to hear that he just, you know, goes until he's done. Go till you're done, you know.
Well, I know it's the jar NBA. I know what you're talking about. I had a police officer customer that used to, for a couple of years, brought me shine from down south. He brings me shine in these 2 jars and a little gift bag. And holy mackerel! I mean, and again, it probably isn't the same proof as what NBA had, but holy mackerel, that stuff was good stuff.
I'll tell you what, my boy Running Water, when he was 9 years old, he buddied up with this old boy that I knew. This old guy actually lived next to us, and that old boy said, "Well, hey, you mind if your kid rides with me because I go up and scout out my hunting areas and trapping areas, and I like to go fishing, and I'll take your boy with." And I said, yeah, go ahead. Now, this old boy's name was Homer T. Davis. He was from South Carolina. Homer T. Davis. Well, after my boys running around with him after about a month and a half, 2 months, my boy come home and I could smell it on him. I told my boy, I said, you ain't going nowhere with Homer T until I go have a talk with him. So I went over to Homer T's and I said, my boy just walked in the house smelling the mash. And he goes, yeah, we had a little accident. I go, you had a little accident? What are you talking about? He says, get my truck. Let's go for a ride. Takes me way up in the backcountry. And he owns 10 acres, way the hell up in the mountains out there in northwestern Montana. Get there, and there's his Shine Shack. And he's got himself one hell of an operation going in there. And boy, that was some sweet shine, too. God, that shit'll kill you, though. Oh, and he said, yeah, I brought that recipe with me to Montana, He said, my oldest boy is the only one that can run the same shine I do and get it right. And he says, other than your boy, he says, your boy just about has it mastered now.
Wow.
I said, you got to be freaking kidding me. He says, oh, I hope you don't mind that I've been teaching your boy how to run shine. I said, I wouldn't mind if you were following in Montana, our state statute where you can make up to annually 10 gallons for home use. I said, your operation, you're running 10 gallons every 3 days out of here. He goes, nobody knows that. He says, I only take one gallon a month out of here that people see. He says, and that works out. He says, and I skip. He says, I skip the month of Christmas and the month of Easter. He says, because it looks good to do that. A lying son of a bitch. He's running about 200, 250 gallons every 6 months, you know. And they have what they call a rendezvous at his son's bar that's out in the middle of nowhere. Attracts huge number of people. And here comes Homer T, back of his truck, just full of glass gallon jugs. And he's peddling them jugs off to all these people at the rendezvous. And you got some really trashed characters. 4 days of rendezvous, and it's open mic, big stage. Everybody's up there drinking and playing, and I miss that. I actually miss that shit because I got free shine. He give me a gallon. The week before every rendezvous, and that gallon was pretty damn full by the time rendezvous came along. And by the end of rendezvous, it was pretty well wiped out. But I'd be sick for a week, you know. Yeah, stuff. And his shine had a awesome burn and bite, but had a sweet kickback aftertaste. There was it almost like there was a hint of a sweetness after that burn settled down. You got this tiny little kick of sweet, and it made you want to just take that next.
Yeah. Well, there you go, right?
Yeah, and I can't remember what proof his was running out at, but it was hot. It was really that shit. You set a match to it, you can't see the flame. I mean, it is so pure light blue, almost clear flame. It just that shit was hot. Yeah. Hey, Mystic Money and Adventures in the Heartland. What are you doing up this time of the night watching me? They had a premiere tonight. And for anybody that missed their premiere, get on over to Adventures in the Heartland and watch that. Diana of the Dunes Dare. They took this hike through the sand dunes there in Indiana, and it's awesome. They did an awesome job putting that video together. I've been past there, but never been actually there, stopped and toured it or anything. And I probably never will. But I got to see it on their channel. Yeah. Just don't smell it. It all smells like 100% rubbing alcohol. Hey, I tell you what. I had an uncle. Well, he was a second cousin, and extreme alcoholic. They had to hospitalize him one time. It didn't have to do with his alcoholism or nothing. No, it wasn't bad liver or nothing like that kind of thing. But when he was in the hospital, of course, they ain't gonna let him drink.
No.
Then they came in and searched his room.
I'm not going to the hospital.
And they found all those bottles of 91% rubbing alcohol stuffed in between his mattresses, and these little juice containers of orange juice in his closet. He was making rubbing alcohol screwdrivers. And
because rubbing alcohol is bad all on its own, but put some orange juice in it, it'd be just fine.
Just fine, yeah. Softens it out for you. Right? And we were wondering, because we went in and visited him 2-3 times over a few days, and he seemed in such good spirits and shit, you know. And I thought, that sucker can't go 12 hours without a drink, and he's jonesing, man. He's seeing flying pigs and all kinds of shit, you know. And no, he was doing really good in the hospital, and we thought maybe this is good for him. Then we found out, My mother said, "Oh my God, is the hospital pissed at him?
Mm.
Now he's been drinking rubbing alcohol and orange juice."
How the hell you keep getting rubbing alcohol though?
He would leave his room and he'd go down there. He could somehow he got in their supply room and he
Really?
grabbed 6 or 8 of these little bottles of rubbing alcohol. And they realized it was missing and they started searching around for it, trying to figure out where it's going. And one of the gals just happened to stick her hand between the mattresses, suspecting because they knew he was a chronic alcoholic, and found a bottle. Then they
Damn.
got him out of the bed and they lifted that mattress up, and he had like 8 or 10 bottles in there. And the kitchen was missing a ton of orange juice. Yeah. Yeah, he was
So
pretty
he was
smart.
stealing the orange. So he was stealing the orange juice too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're that big of an
Because
alcoholic,
he only gets one little thing of orange juice
right?
with his breakfast, you
Right.
know. He needs one of those every 45 minutes to an hour, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're big, I mean, if you're big enough, anything, addict on anything, you'll find a way, right?
You're right, yeah. Yeah. And he's the guy that when he died, my mother made my brother and I take her to his funeral. And we weren't that old yet, you know. I think I was 12, 13 years old at the time. And she made us go up there and to see him in his casket, right? And she goes, "Now you take a good look, boys. Take a good look at him. I told you that was going to happen." I'm looking at her. I go, "What's going to happen?" She goes, "The drinking, it killed him. The drinking finally killed him." I looked at my brother, and my brother just kind of shrugged his shoulders, shook his head. And I go, "But Ma, he's 84 years old." She goes, "Yeah, and that drinking killed him. Look at him. Just take a good look at him. That drinking killed him." I said, "It took 84 fucking years, Ma. I don't think you're right on this one."
Yep.
"No, I'm telling you, the drink." And my brother, he turns around and he goes, "Ma, he died of old age." And he walks out of that chapel. He's just like, "No, I'm going to say it quick and get the hell out of it. Ma, he died of old age. He was 84, for God's sakes." And that's one of those things I tell people that don't follow my example. I've been smoking for 52 years. For 52 frickin' years. And the majority of that 52 years have been a minimum of a pack a day. I maxed out where I was smoking 4 to 5 packs a day. I was buying a carton every 2 days. After 2 days, third day I buy a carton. 2 days, third day buy a carton. But yet when I go and get my medical exams done, of course they want to always x-ray my lungs and they're listening to beat hell and everything. And my doctor said, "I can't believe your lung volume, your oxygen levels, always 97 to 98%. She said, "Your lungs always sound clear." And she said that it doesn't. She said, "You are a freak and an oddity. That is not right." And I told her about my uncle that died of drinking at 84 and how he drank that. He drank rubbing alcohol, for God's sakes. And she said, "There you go. You got a bunch of freaks in your family." I said, "Well, I guess so, you know." So that I tell people all the time, man, if you are smoking, but you don't smoke a lot, quit, man. You can quit if you're not smoking. If you're not a heavy chronic smoker, you can quit. And if you've never smoked, don't start. Just skip it. Just skip it. That's something you don't need to experience.
Well, everybody's vaping now. People that didn't smoke are now vaping.
Vaping. I just no. Don't do that either.
Nope, I'm not doing that. So I got one vice.
Yeah, don't put shit in your lungs that don't belong there.
Okay.
That's I told a guy. He says, "Vaping's not going to hurt you. It's just vapor. It's just moisture." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, let's go in the kitchen. I'll fill the sink full of water and hold your head under it for 10 minutes and see how well that vaping goes. I said, it's just water. It's just vapor. You're sucking it in. It's a little thick, but shouldn't hurt you, should it? No, don't put stuff in your lungs that don't belong there.
Even tobacco, they said it wasn't going to hurt you. Doctors and physicians and stuff came out saying smoking's not bad for you, blah, 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 blah. You could smoke on a plane. You could smoke in the hospital bed after surgery.
You could smoke in the movie theater.
Yeah, you can smoke everywhere. It's not a problem.
The Red Owl store, I remember ashtrays in the Red Owl store. I'd put my cigarettes out in the ashtrays. Most people just threw them on the floor and put them out. But that's the thing is, I grew up in the era where I see the TV ads. Dr. So-and-so recommends Chesterfield. It's the best cigarette for your lungs. It'll clear your lungs right up. Cools. If you have a severe chest problem and a cold, smoke Cools. It'll open your chest up. The methylated cigarette is so good for you. And it's fucking doctors telling you that shit. And you're just
crazy.
My doctor as a kid, I'd go in, this some bitch, big old stogie in his mouth, and he's listening to you with his stethoscope, and he's puffing on that big old stogie and blowing that fucking smoke in your face, and you're a little kid, and everybody in the waiting room at the doctor's office is in there smoking, putting cigarettes out in their ashtrays and shit. Yeah, I tell you what, and the thing is if you're naive, you don't know,
right?
You'll do shit, It's just like I was one of the last people to use this machine. We had a cobbler in town. There was a shoe store, but he was a true cobbler, man. He'd replace the soles on your shoes and shit. And we went to the shoe store. That was, I think, 1964. And they had this machine. It was pretty awesome. It was a square box with a hole in the front of it. It's kind of a horseshoe cutout. And you put a shoe on and you stick your foot in that box. And then it had this tube with these eye things. And you look down in there and there's a button. You push that button and you could hear it. And there's your foot. And you can see through the shoe. You can see your foot. It was a fucking x-ray machine. And a damn thing other than the necessary metal parts. It was just made out of wood. There was no lead protection, nothing. You just stick your foot in there and x-ray the shit out of it. Us kids for about a year loved it. Loved going to the shoe store, man. I get to look at my bones in my foot, man. Look at this shit. Well, then all of a sudden every single one of them in the United States got confiscated because they found out, oh yeah, shit. The worst thing people were getting from that was they were getting testicular cancer from it. Men were.
I can remember playing with mercury in junior high school.
Oh yeah, pour it out on the desk, let you slap it and fling it around. Yeah, pick it up with and then when they come to collect it, you take a piece of paper and scoop it off your desk and pour it into the bottle. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember that?
That was fun though. That was fun.
Gary?
I remember science class when I was in junior high. Taught us how to make gunpowder. And we were making homemade fireworks in science class. Yeah. They showed us how to make gunpowder and make our own homemade fireworks. And they give us recommendations not to go overboard. Don't make something to blow your fingers off and stuff.
Good advice.
And then firearm safety course was at school. And they tell you when you're going to have it. And so you brought your gun and your ammo. And a whole fucking school bus. There's a bunch of kids sitting there with 22s and 410 shotguns. And off we go to school with our guns. Well, we knew the rules. You got to put them in the locker. Yep. You put them in the locker and you got to take your ammo to the teacher. and then the teacher would tag everybody's ammo and keep it in her desk until the firearms class, give you your ammo and you go get your gun out of the locker and off you go to firearms class.
Can you imagine that today? Holy shit.
Can you imagine if somebody seen a busload of kids going by and they're all packing? I mean, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gary Two Sellers, great to see you. Yeah, the world is so much different today. They used to have, I don't know if you ever remember that shit. You used to get it, it was in an aluminum, it looked like a toothpaste tube, but it was made out of aluminum foil or whatever, and a straw. And you'd squirt that shit on the end of the straw and you blow it and it would blow up this metallic looking balloon.
I don't remember it being metallic, but I remember something when you blew up balloons off the end of this thing. Yeah. I don't remember it being metallic though.
The ones that we had, that shit in that tube, if you sniffed that shit, man, boy, did you get a buzz, man. Oh my God.
There's a lot of stuff back in the day.
They finally outlawed that shit because kids quit blowing balloons and just started getting blown from smelling it, man. Well, that shit was like the old model glue, you know.
Yeah, most of that stuff is just oxygen deprivation because I can remember being in junior high.
Good night, Ingles family.
I can remember being in junior high and taking Pam oven cooking spray, putting the can upside down and spraying it into a bag. So all the thing you get in there is the fumes and none of the spray, and huffing that. And we actually had a friend that had to go to the hospital because it's all he was doing. That was I can still remember that to this day. That was the worst kind of like woo woo woo. It was just oxygen deprivation. It really was. I mean, you're reducing the amount of oxygen going to your brain. It was this weirdest thing, and you thought you were high, and it was just it was the worst.
Yeah, Matt. I remember doing that too. Yeah, there were so many things. There were so many
model glue. Yep, model glue. Yep.
Model glue was. See, and the thing is model glue, you were getting a buzz off of that because of the chemical effect it was having on your brain cells. It was killing brain cells, man. Yeah, that's like sniffing gasoline. That's not oxygen deprivation. That's fucking chemical reaction killing your brain cells. There were so many things back in the day. I was having a chat with a guy a few weeks ago, my age, and we were talking about some of this shit from our era, and the thing is we're so protective of our kids now. Don't let your kid do this or that, or be so careful, and you don't want that kid getting a boo-boo kind of thing. I'm amazed any of us survived when I was growing up. I'm amazed any of us survived, even the good kids. The good kids were doing shit that today the parents would think, "Oh my God, call the cops!" Freaking go-karts, man. Every kid in my neighborhood, every boy built a go-kart, and we were running all over freaking town on the streets. 3 guys I know got literally busted up for the rest of their lives, where they're walking gimped and they're fucked up because they got ran over on their golf cart or on their go-karts.
Right.
Yeah. But us smart ones, we didn't drive in front of a car that's moving and get stuck under it. You don't do that. And it's hard to see them kids on those go-karts when they're only sitting 2 feet off the ground and you're driving a 3/4 ton truck.
I can't tell you how many times we wiped out on those Whammo skis, those little plastic skis that were probably about 3-4 feet long. You strap them to your snow boots. We would either get behind a snowmobile, we get behind a 3-wheeler, and we go down through the subdivision where the roads were snow covered, and we'd go down in the ditch and we'd wipe out and whatnot, and just laugh about it.
I think about us kids, we'd hide in a snowbank, behind a snowbank, and wait for a pickup truck to come zipping by in the middle of winter and run out there, grab its bumper, and see how whoever made it the furthest.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and you're just sliding on your damn boots, and then you go home and your mother's screaming at you, "You're wrecking your boots! You've been behind a pickup truck again, haven't you?" "No, not me, Ma. That's dangerous. That's dangerous." Well, hell, when I was growing up, everybody that had a pickup truck had an extra bench seat from an old car sitting around the place, and you'd throw it in the back of that truck up against the back window, and you load the pickup box full of frickin' kids. And if you're lucky, you got to sit on the seat that's not bolted or strapped down. It's just sitting back there. And the truck ain't got no fucking tailgate. And you're going to the next town. You're doing 60 miles an hour down a country road with all these kids in the back of that fucking pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, the driver's not wearing a seatbelt. Why? Because they didn't even install them in those trucks. There was no such thing as a seatbelt in a pickup truck back then. That was extra. Yeah, that was an option. You had to pay for that. No, I don't want no damn seatbelts. They want to charge me an extra $45 for those in my 1964 Ford half-ton. Hell no. If those kids don't have to wear seatbelts in the box, I ain't going to wear one up front.
That's right.
You know, and again, like I said, I'm amazed any of us survived. I mean, technically, we should have all been run over, broken necks. Yeah.
I just think all the stupid stuff we did: the bicycles, the snowmobiles, the three-wheelers, the skateboard stuff. I mean, we didn't do smart stuff. I was never a skateboarder, but we would get on skateboards and go down hills where you'd have to ditch it. You'd have to ditch it in the ditch, and you would go ass over tea kettle. Yeah. And you get up and you'd be limping a little bit. You'd be all right. You know, by the end of the day, you'd be just fine. And it's like, you think about, you know, if you did that to yourself, you know, at our age, you'd be like, yeah, you'd be in traction.
You're damn right. Yeah, you'll never walk again. You're going to the nursing home, fucker. You know, and it's like I was talking one night on the stream about how us kids, man, we loved it when they come through and spray that hot tar on the roads in our town.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we chase those tar trucks and get that fresh tar where it's just cool enough dripping off that truck that you could handle it. Get that off and get a wad of that. That was, oh man, chew on that shit. That was so good. That was so good. It had this awesome kind of fuel oil flavor to it.
I wonder why you got false teeth. Anyways, go ahead.
No, actually, that shit, man, made your teeth shine. It just really did. Really did. Yeah, we did weird shit.
Mama, tell me about the good old days.
Yeah.
Things don't come to mind, right?
Yeah. Grandpa.
Exactly.
Grandpa. Good old days.
Didn't Sam just sing that song a night or two ago?
I don't know.
She sang an old original. I don't know if it was on Facebook or something. She sang something along those lines, but she's probably not here now.
Yeah. Neat. I love that song, by the way.
Good song.
Metal Music Maniac says the old station wagons from the 70s were polished plastic in the back. So as 60-pound brats, we slid around from the hatch back to the rear seat. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure which wagons you're talking about. I had a 1970 Chevrolet Impala station wagon that was fucking canary yellow. I loved that car, man. I could do 85, 90 miles an hour down the interstate, speed limit 65, and the cop never pulled me over. They're pulling over that red Corvette. They see that yellow station wagon and they say, fucking family man, or it's his wife driving it, leave him be, you know? Well, I'll tell you what, that was one worst design. I grew up in nothing but station wagon. That was our family car, was a station wagon. My old man was
It was the minivan of its time.
right. It was the minivan of its time. But Chevrolet was notorious for almost every one of their wagons had the rear-facing rear seat that popped out of the floor. And I'll tell you what, those are puke machines. That's what those are. You put kids in their face and backwards out the back, you make sure you get one of them Impalas with a power back window, tailgate window. So you can drop that sucker and tell the kid, puke out the tailgate. Because ride backwards and you're going for miles and miles and miles, them kids get car sick real easy back because they're riding backwards and all of a sudden they're hurling in the back. And then it's that seat sits down in a molded steel bucket, basically. So they're puking in that. And it's a bitch. It's a bitch because that seat don't pop out of there like a minivan. That seat was bolted in there, the back folded down, but that's it. You couldn't lift the seat out of there. So cleaning the puke out of that depression the seat sat in was a bummer. Yeah, yeah. But I tell you what, I miss the old big station wagons. I had that 1970 Chevy Impala. I bought it in Delaware. It was out in Delaware. It was a drug sale. They had seized the car on a drug deal. And I went to the judge because the court now owned the car, The case was over and they owned the car. And they had a big impound yard full of cars. And I went in and I told the judge, I said, I want to buy that station wagon and you got a 1974 Toyota I want to buy. He says, what do you give me for the Toyota? I said, I'll give you $500 for it. He says, that sounds fair. Shit. When I got that Toyota back to Minnesota, we turned around and we sold it for $1,800. That station wagon, 1970 Chevy Impala station wagon. This is in 1996. Totally rust-free. Clean as a whistle. Looked like it just come off the showroom floor. And I've got the picture of it and the details. And I said, well, this one, Your Honor, I'm really interested in that because it's got a hitch package on it. And I'm going to tow the Toyota back to Minnesota with it. And he goes, well, what are you willing to give us for that ugly ass station wagon? Well, it was kind of ugly. It was canary yellow, for Christ's sakes. And it was in perfect shape, not a scratch on that car. And it only had, if I recall, it had 36,000 miles on it in 1996, and it was a 1970. Well, he says, make an offer. I said, I'll give you $400 for it. He says, fine, $80. I'm good with it. $80 is good. I go, say what? He goes, if you got $80 cash, you better get it on my desk now. He says, because that could change. Man, I peeled off $80 real fast. I said, $80? Are you freaking insane? I drove that wagon for 4 or 5 years. Running Water remembers that station wagon like it was yesterday. Finally, we wanted to upgrade to a minivan. Worst thing I ever did. But I couldn't figure out how to get rid of the station wagon. I went to a dealer and I said, I want that used minivan you got sitting out there. I like that car. That'll work. I said, how much you give me for that 70 Chevy Impala? He said, it's totally rust-free, runs like $1 million, got about 60,000 miles on it now. I said, cherry car. The guy says, Bud, it's so damn Bud ugly. And some guy comes walking up. He says, did I hear you right? You're trying to get rid of that station wagon? I said, yeah. He says, what'll you take for it? And I said, what do you give me for it? I said, I'm trying to get him to give me a trade-in on it, but he won't take it on a trade-in. He says, I tell you what, I'll give you $1,200 for it. I said, that's yours then. Yeah, you're goddamn right. I paid $80 for it. I don't think I put any money in that car.
No.
And I got $1,200 for it 4 years later. And I go, I hope you're going to take it home and paint the son of a bitch. And he goes, are you freaking kidding? He says, I own Duluth Taxi Services. He says, that son of a bitch is going to become an airport taxi right now. He says, by tomorrow, it's going to have our logo on the doors and it's going to be running airport jobs. He needed it for a taxi. And
he probably would have paid double that for it.
Yeah. But I was good with the 1,200. You know, I came out $1,100 ahead. You know, what the hell? You know, just a little increase.
I have got to get my ass to bed.
I just realized it's quarter after. I have got to do the same. I got packing and shit to do. I gotta shake it out and be on the road no later than 7 o'clock in the morning. So, but that's a while yet. That's, you know, I got 9 hours, but it'll be 2 before I get to bed.
Well, some of us have to work tomorrow, so
yeah. Well, I do. When I get down there, it takes me an extra half hour because I got to take gravel roads. It's only 38 miles, but of the 38 miles, 30 of those is all backcountry gravel road through the forest. Bullshit. And then when I get there, I got to go down to Clam Lake, which is another 4-6 mile. Might as well say 15-mile round trip, pick up my lawnmower so that I can mow my campgrounds. Bleh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to work tomorrow too. So, hey, thanks for being here, buddy. It was,
it was great. We had a good time tonight.
Yeah, it was. It was everybody out in the chat. So interactive. It was a blast. Love you guys. And I'll be thinking about all of you for the rest of the week. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Now, keep in mind, next Wednesday, I may not go live until 8 o'clock. And we'll do 8 to 10 or something like that. But because Samantha has got her thing going on next Wednesday, where she's doing all those songs, her and
Play It By Ear,
and they're on Facebook. That's a thing on Facebook. So I'm hoping I'll have all the details early enough on Wednesday that I don't miss it. You know, so but we will stream next Wednesday. So watch for it. I'll post it earlier in the day. So love y'all. You all have a very good night. And like usual, we're going to just kind of dance with the gal in the fur coat on the way out the door.
Ooh, I like her. Where's she at?
And yeah, she's coming.
Okay.
And you take care, Phil.
I will
Take good care of yourself, buddy. And I'll be talking to you. Good night, guys.
Good night.